The Mets' first homestand of the year is coming to a close, so it's time to get out of town via plane, train, or automobile. The Mets are heading on the road after one more game here at Citi Field. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. Mets baseball on SNY is presented by Mitsubishi. Today's game is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets play the rubber game of their three-game weekend series against the Washington Nationals. And the rotation after the first time through flips back to opening day, and that means the second turn for Johan Santana, and that's usually the best day of the week for this team.
Well, he was outstanding on opening day. His changeup was as good as I've ever seen it. His aim was true with his fastball in the outside corner. And, of course, win number 123 for Santana with only 60 losses. And now in his first 60 starts for the Mets, 30-17.
He went 6 innings in his opening day start, held the Marlins scoreless for the first 5 before giving up a run in the 6th. But the bullpen has come into play early in the season, as it will for just about every starting pitcher. And after concerns about the bullpen heading out of spring training, the bullpen has actually been spectacular through the first 5 games.
You know, it really has. And you got to start with Fernando Nieve. Here's a guy who was a starter last year for the Mets, but now has appeared in 4 of their first 5 games, and he has been perfect. And then you look at the 2 Japanese pitchers. Both have been starters in Japan. Igarashi's been outstanding his last 2, and Takahashi can do anything. He can come in for 1 inning or give you 2 and 3. So the entire bullpen, as you saw by the numbers, has been great, and they need to continue that as they move along.
One change in that bullpen today. Sean Green has gone on the disabled list with an intercostal muscle strain, and the Mets have called up Raul Valdez, who was a very fascinating guy during spring training, a guy from Cuba who's pitched in the Mexican League, has never pitched in the major leagues, but he is now in the major league uniform. Valdez will give the Mets a third lefty in that bullpen.
You know, it's interesting. I talked to Jerry Manuel. I thought that Takahashi would be the long man from the left side, but he said no. Valdez is going to be his long man starting today with that left-handed arm.
So it's the Mets and the Nationals for the final game of their 3-game series. Mets are heading out of town for Denver after the game. They'll give the ball to Santana. All the action coming up on SNY. 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Go RVing. Go visit GoRVing.com to watch a free video. Go affordably. Go RVing. By Census 2010. We're in the home stretch, and it's not too late. Fill out and mail back your census form today. And by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is the great Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear straight from the official source, the Mets.com shop. Accept no substitutes. Santana ready to take the mound. We're ready as well. First pitch coming up from Citi Field. Starting lineup, no Ryan Zimmerman. He's forced to sit out because of a hamstring injury, so that moves Adam Kennedy over to third base. Christian Guzman takes over the third spot in the batting order and plays second. Willie Taveras had all the RBIs for the Nats yesterday. He moves up from the 8th spot into the 2-hole as the Nats try to win a series for the first time this season.
Well, I tell you,
so will the Mets.
Yeah, I love this. You know, I've seen this happen in Los Angeles as David kind of stretches out for the kids. At Atlanta, they do it also. These are some of the season ticket holders that have been allowed to come on the field and greet the starters as they come out there. And those two guys must be feeling super.
I guess they knew what position they were going to. They're both wearing David Wright's jersey.
That's right.
That's great. David's taking the time
awesome.
with them.
Man.
Yohan Santana on the mound for his second start of the season. The first one could not have gone better.
Yes, he was outstanding, and he had that nice life on his changeup. I made a mistake in the open. It said 30-17 his first 60 starts with the Mets. That's 30-16. And I think, Gary, you and I were talking about it. Almost every time he takes the hill for the Mets, they're going to have to win his starts.
Well, there have been only 2 starters in Mets history who have had more wins for them through their first 60 starts. Dwight Gooden, and you might be surprised that the other one was Frank Viola.
Wow. Well, you see the defense, Mets defense, Lexus Mets defense, Gold Glove Award winner in 2007, Santana, one of the best fielders in baseball. Bay Matthews Jr. and Franouer, the same cast of characters in the outfield. Reyes, of course, 2 days in a row starting, and Barajas, who ended the game yesterday. There's Livan Hernandez, a Met in 2009, but now with the Nationals.
Again with the Nationals. Through the first pitch in their history back in 05.
His last great year in the major leagues was with those Nationals. 15-10 that year.
Well, here's Nyjer Morgan, who's tailed off since opening day when he had 2 hits. He's been just 1 for 16 and 0 for 9 in this series. And if the Nats are going to be successful, they need for Morgan to be getting on base at the top of that batting order. Santana's first pitch of the afternoon misses for ball 1 as Morgan, as he will in just about every at-bat, shows bunt.
And we've seen him the first 2 days with those pants pulled up high. He's put the pants down now. That happens for superstitious baseball players as he's 0 for 9.
And David Wright, who had the pants down yesterday, has them up today. So some guys just try to entertain themselves.
I think David's thing is that he wears them up on day games. I think that is his style.
And then you get to see those shoes. And those are special shoes.
They are.
1-1 to Morgan. And it's below the knees, 2-1.
Blue and black and white, the white toes.
Just missing the orange. Otherwise, I think every Met color is in those shoes. And Santana misses high, so he falls behind the leadoff hitter Morgan, 3-1. For Johan, as you look at Willie Taveras on deck, his first start of the year had to at least alleviate some trepidation after coming back from elbow surgery. And I know that he has talked from the beginning of spring training about that being a non-issue, but until you go out there in a competitive situation, and I'm not talking about spring training, you have to wonder whether you're fully back from where you were.
Well, I think part of it is he was hit pretty hard in spring training. Gave up 26 hits and 14 innings.
Morgan fouls one off. That'll make the seat.
So you can say all you want, and I don't care how great a pitcher you are, and he's one of the best of his generation. Until you have a little bit of success, you're saying, well, I hope this spring training leaves as soon as the season's done. But, he exists and takes it to another level when he's got that adrenaline working for regular season games.
Trying to put away the opening hitter of the game. And Morgan cracks one to center field. Well hit from Matthews, retreating, gets turned around, and it's over his head and all the way to the wall. Morgan can fly. He'll turn second and try for third. And he makes it standing with a leadoff triple. So Morgan has his first hit of the series, a long triple over the head of Matthews.
Well, a lot of times when it's 3-2 to leadoff hitter, you throw him right down the middle and say, hey, hit one over the head of my center fielder. Well, Morgan did here. Matthews took a line like he was going to go straight back, but the ball from the left-handed hitting Morgan started to tail towards the left field and got away from Matthews. And boy, it's fun watching Morgan. Running so fast, he's got to do everything he can to keep his helmet on. There it goes.
His second triple of the year. He's not a home run hitter. He's had just 4 big league home runs, but he hit that one a long way straight away. Now Willie Taveras, who had himself quite a day yesterday with a single, a triple, and 4 RBIs, all 4 runs that the Nationals scored, driven in by the veteran Taveras, who was searching for a job this spring. He had been let go in the middle of February after being traded from Cincinnati to Oakland, and the Nats picked him up for a song.
Didn't Oakland have to eat part of that contract, I think, which was very strange.
Mets are in at the corners, back at second and short, and Santana falls behind again, 2-0. So uncharacteristically, Santana falling behind on the count. Jim Joyce, one of the better umpires in Major League Baseball, calling the balls and strikes today. Marvin Hudson, Jim Wolf, and the crew chief Darryl Cousins round out that quartet. And the changeup misses, and now it's 3-0 to Taveras with Christian Guzman, the number 3 hitter today, waiting on deck.
So something you usually don't see is Santana a little amiss here in this first inning. Usually he's a strike machine. Probably the guy who hits him the best on deck, and Christian Guzman, who you pointed out.
So now behind 3-0, and Taveras takes a strike, 3-1. Dan Worthen watching in rapt attention as Santana struggles with his control early on. And he walks Taveras. So the first two for the Nats are aboard. After the triple by Morgan, Taveras walks, and Guzman will bat with runners at the corners. Well, Ryan Zimmerman getting the day off because of a nagging hamstring. Pudge Rodriguez getting the day off because, well, he's a 38-year-old catcher.
He did play a day game after a night game.
He did. So here's Guzman, who lost out on the shortstop job in spring training to Ian Desmond, but began to play all of a sudden. Yesterday played second base with Kennedy getting a day off, and today playing second base with Zimmerman getting a day off. And he has got great career numbers against Santana, his former Twins teammate, 8 hits and 16 at bats. So an early crisis for Santana to deal with in the first inning. First and third and nobody out. And Guzman grounds one down to third. Right looks Morgan back and makes the play to first and gets the first out of the game. Hoping to get Morgan diving back in, but no chance for the double play.
You see, David, nice job by Morgan to get on the outside part of that line. David only had one play. Once he went at Morgan, only one play, not second. Had to go to first to get the out.
Now the question then becomes, was it necessary for him to make the move toward Morgan, or could he have gone right to second, had a chance for two?
You know, he had a chance to double play, but I think Morgan was off just enough that it teased David into thinking he could go get him.
So now second and third and one out, and Adam Dunn stands in, and the Mets will put on a modified shift here with runners at second and third. Dunn looking for his first hit of the series. He's gone 0 for 5 and he's walked 3 times.
And you see the outfield is extremely deep, as it should be for Dunn. And that nice triangle defense. Core, of course, out in the outfield. On the second base side, of course, is Jose Reyes.
See the numbers for Dunn against Santana. A couple of home runs in just 7 at bats.
The problem with the defense you have here is because of Morgan on third and his speed, you got to keep David at least closer to the bag. So that opens up that entire shortstop side for Adam Dunn.
Yesterday, with Wright playing in the shortstop position, Dunn hit one right at him there, and David made a throwing error. Now Santana's 1-1, and he misses inside with a changeup, and it's 2-1. Dunn will wait you out.
And in fact, if it's been any criticism, see Willingham on deck, any criticism of Adam Dunn in RBI situations, sometimes he's not as aggressive as you would like for a hitter of his caliber and power.
38 home runs or more, 6 consecutive years. And he takes it low, and again Santana's behind. 3 times in 4 batters now. He's fallen behind 3-1.
It almost seems like Santana doesn't want any part of Dunn right here. He's going to try to see if Dunn will chase something out of the strike zone and maybe take a chance with rolling the double play with Willingham.
Santana has beaten the Nationals 5 straight starts as a Met. And he throws him a fastball, and Dunn with a mighty hack, 3-2.
Well, that's the place you can get Adam Dunn. He likes to extend his hands, and he likes the ball down. That ball up and in is a perfect spot.
You see more balls than strikes for Santana. That never happens. Check swing. Did he go? Nope. Ball 4. And Dunn draws a walk to fill the bases. The second walk of the opening inning issued by Santana.
Well, fastball away and up, and this time Dunn did not bite. You can see overhead. You can see that bat. He's so strong that he's able to hold that back, although we have seen that one called before.
Earl Cousins at third base said no swing, so an opportunity for Josh Willingham with the bases loaded and 1 out. Willingham 2 for 6 in this series. 3 for 11 lifetime with a home run against Santana. So now the infield at double play depth. See that outfield a couple of steps to left against Willingham. And he fouls the first pitch fastball away.
It's very thematic of the game yesterday. Bases loaded. Mets weren't able to score. The Nationals had their problems also. Back to bases loaded here in the first.
Ian Desmond hitting 6th in the order today, waiting on deck. Willingham takes below the knees, and it's 1-1.
Santana doesn't get that many ground balls with his fastball to the right-handed hitters, but he does get a lot of ground balls on that changeup away, and that's what he's going to try to get Willingham to do, is roll over one of those changeups.
Wouldn't bite on that one, and he stopped the swing in time, so it's 2-1. Nats have been able to hold back on those half swings. That's 3 of them now they've gotten a pass on. Willingham has 4 career grand slams. His first one against the Mets back in 2007 against Guillermo Mota. And Ron Barajas is going to take a trip out to the mound to talk it over with Santana, who was uncharacteristically not sharp in the opening inning.
He's not sharp, and it's kind of like he's in between what he wants to throw so far. You know, usually works very briskly in the first inning. But, you know, he knows the Mets have struggled yesterday for runs. He's just trying to see how he can get out of this inning without any.
Two-one. In the air to center field and deep. Matthews back onto the track, right at the wall, and it's off the corner of the wall in play. Morgan scores. Taveras scores. Heading home is Dunn. The relay thrown to the plate by Cora. Barajas can't hold it. Dunn runs him over. Here comes Willingham. The toss, and Barajas tags him out. 3-run score on the play, and then Willingham is out at the plate after Barajas got run over by Dunn. He's able to recover, take the flip, and make the tag for the second out.
I think Riggleman's going to come out and argue that this hit over the orange line and against that wall, and it's a home run.
If it hits the black there, that is a home run.
Yes. I think he's going to argue it and probably going to get the call, because that is on that side, and the way it bounced, you could tell it bounced here. Nice heads up here by Santana. Watch as Matthews goes back. That ball kept carrying, and then it hits to the right of that orange line, above the now shortened orange line in center field.
Let's see. Yep, they hit that black pad. There's no question that's a home run, and they're going to have to review that. And it should be a grand slam for Willingham. So 3 runs are currently on the board for the Nats, but I think once they review this, it'll be a grand slam, and they'll have 4.
And the easiest way for them to tell not only is the picture that we're going to probably give them that they'll see, but also the angle that the ball hit off that wall and came back should let them know it hit the angled wall and not the wall below the orange mark.
It could have hit on the orange line and come back at a similar angle, because the line itself is not out of the ballpark, but because it is to the right of that line, that is a home run. And no question from the replay that we show right there, that is a home run. You can even see the smudge on the wall. That's great. Bill Webb picking up that shot.
Webby.
That's the first time anybody's hit one in that neighborhood here at Citi Field. And so 3 of the umpires are going to go off and check out the video review. And the home plate umpire, Jim Joyce, will stay on the field as the 3 base umpires go off for a look.
By the way, shocking development. 3 or 4 runs are going to be across here in the first inning against Santana.
Well, it's been obvious from the outset that Santana has not been sharp. And, you know, you've had this experience before, I'm sure. You come out of the bullpen and nothing's working for you.
Yeah, nothing's working. You don't feel great about your fastball. I think the other thing is we have to take into account is that the Mets and Jerry have always wanted to give Santana an extra day, it seems, every time. He was scheduled to pitch yesterday on his 5th day. They decided to push him back to today, and he's not sharp so far.
A triple by Morgan hit over the head of Matthews in center. A walk to Taveras. Guzman grounded out. Dunn walked, and now Willingham has hit what we believe will be ultimately ruled a grand slam to give the Nationals a 4-0 lead.
And look at Rod Barajas, brought him right into the line of play here against Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn, who was an outstanding football player.
And Dunn had him lined up, didn't realize, couldn't have enough time to realize that Barajas had already mishandled the ball before he made contact. And here come the umpires after a quick review. And they signal home run. So Josh Willingham gets credit for his first home run of the year, his 5th career grand slam, and the Nationals have a 4-0 lead.
Now, the question I asked, he was tagged out at home. Did he ever touch home plate, Willingham, or it doesn't really matter now because he reviewed the home run?
Well, he could go out now and touch it.
Well, that's what I want to see, if he hasn't touched the plate.
I'm not sure if he did or not. So the grand slam. Let's see if he did.
Okay, well, this is the Adam Dunn play. Rod Barajas gets knocked over.
And I think Dunn has knees on home plate. And then here comes Willingham.
And does he get through there? Yes, he did.
So all the P's and Q's have now been taken care of. Now Johan Santana throwing in some warm-up pitches, trying to get himself reacclimated after the delay for the review. So it's 4-0 Washington. Still only one out of the inning. And now Ian Desmond will come up to bat. And Barajas taking a moment before going back into his squat behind home plate. He took one shot and then got back up and made the tag at the plate, but he appears to be okay. Desmond jumping on the first pitch, fouls it back, 0-1.
Well, that's why this game's great. You just never know. You got a team that lost 103 games last year, facing Santana's great almost every time out, and they've already put up 4 points. Jeez.
Desmond fouls it back, but from a Mets perspective, I mean, right now, with the uneasiness about their starting rotation, they're almost in a situation where they have to win on the days that Johan pitches. And now they've been knocked back on their heels here in the top of the first. And the rookie shortstop Desmond takes high 1-2. Desmond 2 for 5 in the series, including a 2-run triple on Friday night. Looked a little shaky in the field at times, but has handled the bat well. And he pulls that one. Diving stop by David Wright. Gets up and flips in time to get him. Beautifully done by David Wright for the second out.
Outstanding play. Quickness by David, who was on that line. So had to lunge for that baseball up quickly. And perfect toss over to Jacobs. That ball, when it hits the grass early in the game, sometimes it'll skip on him. Didn't get by David.
So 2 out now. Will Nieves, the backup catcher, making his second start of the season. Well, early last season, the Mets got into a streak where they could not lose a video review. I think they had 5 consecutive ones, including the one in Boston where Santos hit the home run off Papelbon, the one here where Murphy scraped one off the subway sign. But their first review of 2010 goes against them. And well, once we saw the first replay, there was no contention about it, and you saw how little time it took the umpires to come to a determination. 2-0 the count to Nieves, and he swings and fouls one off. Barajas back for a look, but it's out of play. That grand slam by Josh Willingham is only the 3rd that Johan Santana has ever given up in his major league career.
I know he's given up one to a pitcher.
That was Felix Hernandez 2 years ago here. And in 2003, Michael Young of the Texas Rangers hit a grand slam against him. And Josh Willingham has now joined a very exclusive club. 2-1 to Nieves, and he hits one to center field. This one playable for Matthews. And that'll do it for a very troubling first inning for Johan Santana. There's the scuff mark indicating the grand slam by Willingham, which has given the Nats a 4-0 lead.
the day they threw the grapefruit at me.
Well, the Mets will try and fight from uphill. Here's the Geico starting lineup for this afternoon. Second game for Jose Reyes. Hottest bat in the lineup belongs to Jeff Franouer, who has hit in all 5 games this year. Ron Barajas back in the lineup after sitting yesterday. And the former Met Livan Hernandez goes up against his old team this afternoon.
9-12 last season. 5 games over 500 in his career. 156 wins, 151 losses.
And a call strike to Jose Reyes, who was 1 for 4 in his first game in nearly 11 months yesterday. Had kind of a shaky first 8 innings, but an awfully good 9th. Pops one up on the left side. And he and Desmond trailing out. And Livan Hernandez has his first out.
See the Home Depot defense for the Nationals. You got Kennedy, Desmond, Guzman, Dunn in the infield. Nieves is doing the catching. Willingham, Morgan, and Taveras in the outfield. The most important thing is Willie Harris is not in the outfield today. So that
not to begin the game.
Not yet.
He wasn't there at the beginning of yesterday's game either. Here's Alex Cora playing second base again today. Jerry Manuel said before the game he expects to have Luis Castillo back in the lineup Tuesday night when the Mets get to Colorado. Castillo's been sitting with a bit of a calf injury. Did pinch hit yesterday.
There's Willie Harris. You can just see the top of his dome there. And with the blue hoodie between the two national players.
Resting up for his game-saving catch later today. I mean, it's been an uncanny thing. I mean, whether as an Atlanta Brave or as a Washington National, he has made not only spectacular catches against the Mets, but in incredibly crucial situations. Cora reaches and fouls one away. Livan Hernandez began last year as a New York Met. Made 23 starts for the Mets before they released him in late August. He then signed back on with the Nationals and pitched well for them down the stretch. Fouled away.
Extremely durable. 12 straight years of 30 starts or more. He's got 2,734 innings in the big leagues. Look at that ball. That's got to be sausage and peppers, right?
It's a lot of peppers, too. How do you keep those things balanced?
And Livan with 7 postseason wins. You eat quickly. That's how you do it.
Cora lines one to second over the head of Guzman, and he's got himself a base hit. So the Mets have their first base runner against Livan, who gives up a lot of hits. There's David Wright coming up. David's 3 for 7 in this series. And he has 4 career home runs against Livan, which ties the most he has against any pitcher. Last year was fairly typical for Livan. 183 innings, 220 hits allowed.
He just has no problem pitching with runners on base.
And there was a time in his career where he'd throw 140, 145 pitches with no problem. Now he's more in the 115 to 120 range, but tends to pace himself early in games. And in many ways that makes him a throwback. I mean, back in the day when you were expected to go 9 innings, you couldn't go out there and throw as hard as you can for as long as you can.
Yeah, he represents that age of professional pitching where you come out and try to mix up your pitches and knew that you were going to have to get at least 24 outs that day.
David grounds one to short, should be 2. Desmond to Guzman, 6-4-3 double play, and Livan Hernandez is done in the first. When we come back, we'll take a look at Ronnie's keys to the season. Nats have a 4-0 lead after 1. Tonight at 7, hear the exclusive interview with new Jet safety Brodney Poole and find out how he thinks his role will change in a Rex Ryan system. Plus, Damian Woody joins the crew in the studio on an all-new Jets Nation tonight at 7, only on SNY. Beautiful day here at Citi Field. Temperature right around 70 degrees. Winds have died down since the last couple of days. Adam Kennedy out to center field, and Gary Matthews right there to grab it. And so one pitch for Johan Santana to get the first out in the second. Well, early in the season, Keith and Kevin and Ron and I are all going to look at what we think is going to make the Mets click for 2010.
Well, I think the only reason I'm going first is because I'm the only one who did the homework over the winter. And I think it's really
my dog ate it.
It's important that Pelfrey, Maine, and Perez need to make all their 30 starts each, because last year some injuries kept them out. I think Santana, it's tough after his first inning, has to have a Cy Young season. I think Reyes has to have an MVP type season, and that identifying that 8th inning reliever is going to be really important for Jerry Manuel sooner than later. And the changing the culture, the grinders kind of whiners, that's a little negative. What I really mean is that I think as they move forward, and they really have to concentrate on who they have and not who they don't have. And that has a lot to do with the injuries. And if they can do those, the type of things, I'm telling you, they got a real shot to stay in this thing until Beltran comes back, and then they can really take off. And, you know, I did some of this stats this winter with some help from the guys at Elias. And look at the stats when Reyes scores. I mean, the numbers are so stark. When he scores 1 run, they win 63% of the time. When they scores 2 runs, they win 80% of the time. And you can see when he doesn't play or doesn't score a run, that record is reflected there. So Reyes is so important for this ball club as they move ahead, that he scores early and often.
Livan Hernandez foul tips it. Barajas holds it, and that's the first strikeout for Santana this afternoon. And I guess the question is, are those expectations reasonable?
But
saying Reyes having an MVP type year, is that something you can expect from Jose?
I think you definitely can. I mean, I know he hasn't played since May 20th of last season. Santana, you know that he's healthy now despite the first inning grand slam, making 90 starts, 30 for each guy. That's a very thing that can definitely happen. The 8th inning bridge reliever will be a tough one to figure out what they're going to do to get the ball to K-Rod, and the changing of the culture that, you know what, had 2 difficult seasons after 06 on that last weekend. You know, only won 70 ball games last year. You have to get to that point where they do some of those things that you want to see. You know, knocking over the second baseman, running over the catcher, hustling all game long. I think all those things they can absolutely do.
Santana bounces back with a 1-2-3 inning as he gets Morgan to line out. That's will come up with Bay leading off in the second. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, America's #1 furniture retailer of the year. There's Bob. Jason Bay leading off in the home second. And Jason lofts one out to left center field. Back goes Willingham with Morgan. Morgan with room on the warning track. A little hop there to make the grab. I think he might have thought he was closer to the wall than he was.
Well, I think what happens for outfielders here is that the expanse is so large that they feel like they've been running for about 15 minutes and they still don't reach the wall. Looks like Jason might have got that a little off the end of the bat. And Morgan by that time says, hey, where's the wall? Where's the wall?
Now that's an instance where you've got a left-hand throwing outfielder going to his right, so he can't feel for the wall with his bare hand the way a right-hand thrower.
Yeah, it makes it a little more difficult.
Here's Mike Jacobs. Good career numbers against Levon Hernandez, 4 for 12 with a couple of home runs. Jacobs hitting 5th, and that appears to be the way Jerry's going to go for a period of time now. He had Jacobs hitting cleanup for the first couple of games of the year. In an ideal world, Jerry would like to go right, left through his order, but right now Jacobs is not swinging the bat like a cleanup hitter. Jeff Francoeur is. He's on deck. Pulled down to the right side and playing way over in the hole is Guzman. Turned out he had him play perfectly, and that's the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Jeff Francoeur coming up. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Oh, Kevin.
Sorry about that, guys. I was talking with Howard Johnson today about Jeff Francoeur and his approach and about first pitch swinging. And Hojo said, look, I don't mind him swinging first pitch, but what we've had discussions on, what I've tried to drill into him is be selective on the first pitch swing. Take a pitch you like and drive it like that, which is deep in the gap to right center field, and it's off the wall. Had a good carom, too. See if Francoeur tries for 3. He will, and he will get there easily. Let's see, first pitch swinging's okay, guys. You just take it and hit it off the wall, and everything works out just fine.
Nice timing, Kev.
That was also a great play by Willie Taveras, the right fielder, to race all the way over to center to help out Nigel Morgan. Otherwise, that could have been an inside the park home run.
Well, fastball right down the middle. Powdered out to right center field. And like Gary was saying, see, Taveras, this is what you have to do at this ballpark because of all the little quirky kind of walls here. You have to hustle over there and help your center fielder. Morgan can't get to it in time. Juts towards center field, and Taveras, with all that speed, able to get the ball, and with 2 outs, hold Francoeur to a triple.
So you were saying, Kevin.
Just to finish the thought, yeah. I always like when a player makes me look like a genius with the report, by the way. It always helps. But, you know, what Howard Johnson says, he has no problem swinging first pitch, but he wants Jeff to go up with a plan of a location and a pitch, depending on who the pitcher is. And if he gets it, swing. But if not, that's where he wants him to be a little bit more selective in the process. And he thinks that's been a big start to his beginning of this season.
Well, he now has 6 extra base hits in the first 6 games of the year. That's a pretty good ratio. 1-1 to Matthews.
Well, Kevin, I didn't know that. I knew you and Francoeur were tight. I didn't know you were that tight. Here's the IOTV pitch differential. Wanted that down and away. That's middle for Jeff, who loves the swing on first pitch. And he stays hot.
So he's at third with 2 out. And Matthews takes a changeup low, and it's 2-1.
Before the game today, Francoeur called me over, and I figured maybe he's going to talk baseball. Maybe he wants to ask me about Levon. He goes, hey, I think Nicholson's got it today. He just wanted to talk about the golf.
Well, he talked about golf this morning, but it wasn't necessarily about the Masters, at least not to me. He's talking about playing tomorrow in Colorado. He said, hit the ball 25 yards longer in Colorado.
Yes, you can.
Now, I don't know anything about golf, but I do know the air is thin. And I know they don't put golf balls in the humidor like they do the baseball.
Well, the Francoeur is a guy who's really strong. So he would hit a 9-iron probably 150 yards, 155 normally. He'll hit it 170 in Colorado. So that's the difference. For you golfers. I mean, we're watching baseball. Forget about golf.
2-2 to Matthews as the Mets try and get on the board here in the second, down 4-0. And Gary strokes one to left center. Back goes Morgan, has it lined up, and that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the second. Franouer with a 2-out triple, but Levon puts up a 0. And we head to the third with the Nats up 4-0. Check out our AT&T trivia question for today. Which pitcher holds the record for most career shutouts?
Well, he was. Well, I shouldn't give a hint. Should you give a hint?
I don't know. It's a
Do
Sunday afternoon.
Do you know the answer?
Are you being charitable?
Yes, of course, on Sunday afternoon. I would think that at most of his career he played in Washington. I would think.
Okay.
Could be wrong. Could be wrong.
Willie Taveras pops one up on the infield, shading his eyes. Alex Cora, and used that glove perfectly for that purpose. 1 pitch and 1 out for Santana in the third. Well, you know, if I were going to take a guess, because I don't know the answer, I would go to the guy with the most wins.
So we go with the 511.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I just always thought it was the guy who played in Washington. I don't know why.
Could be. He had the strikeout record for years and years.
And he also played with a bad team.
Yes, he did. Here's Kristen Guzman, who grounded out to third base his first time up. Santana trying to settle back in after a rocky first inning. He's retired 6 in a row since the Willingham Grand Slam. And Johan had some company today. Turned out that in Detroit today, the Tigers ace Justin Verlander gave up a first inning grand slam to Cleveland's Luis Valbuena. Now, what were the odds of that happening on the same day?
2 great pitchers on a Sunday afternoon getting nicked for a grand slam.
And Guzman takes one on the outside corner, and Santana looking a lot sharper than he did in that first inning. Now, you and I have both seen plenty of pitchers over the years who have first inning troubles and then settle in and pitch great after that. It's just that Santana's not generally one of those guys.
Yeah, he usually, he's usually strong for whatever innings he's out there. But he's unusually a quick starter. A guy that very rarely you'll ever see him face more than the first 3 batters in the first inning, but not to be today.
A lot of pitchers, they say, if you're going to get him, you got to get him early. And the changeup line the other way, and Guzman has a base hit. So there is the third hit for the Nationals, as Guzman took one the other way.
When I played on those 80s teams, there was always a lot of talk that when teams would face Dwight Gooden, there was a feeling that if they did get the leadoff hitter on, they would bunt him to second to try to get at least 1 run early. That didn't usually work either.
Well, the problem was getting that leadoff man on. But the other thing you could do against Doc is you could steal a base.
Yes.
There was always the one hole in his game. And they did a lot of things with his stretch and his hands to try and figure out how to cut it down. But, you know, when he was good, running game wasn't an issue because they couldn't steal first.
Well, they couldn't steal first, and also if he got the third with less than 2 outs, he would strike the hitter out. Okay, who's next? He's like a barbershop pitcher. Who's next? Next.
Dunn drew a walk and scored a run in the first inning. Now the Mets have the shift on here, but Reyes is staying close enough to the bag at second that it looks like they're trying to avoid having David Wright have to cover the bag on a double play. It's just an unnatural thing for a third baseman to be doing, although we've seen it with these shifts. Dunn doesn't ground in very many double plays because most of the time he's hitting the ball in the air.
That's right. And I think the other thing we alluded to a little bit yesterday, as there's the grand slam hitter on deck, Willingham, is Guzman's got some speed and he can steal a base. And if he steals a base, you want Jose covering and David to bust at third base.
Otherwise, that pitcher's got to be responsible for covering third. Too high, and so he's behind on Dunn again, 3-1. You'll see the majority of Dunn's hits are pulled to right field. Now behind in the count, Santana delivers, and it's inside ball 4. So Dunn has walked again. That's 5 walks in the 3-game series for Dunn, and Johan's 3rd walk of the day. Well, we were talking before about Johan's first 60 starts and how Gooden and Viola had been the only Mets with more wins through 60 starts. A couple other pretty good guys ahead of him in the ERA category.
Well, Frankie won 20 in his first full season with the Mets. And of course, Dwight won what? He won 17 and then 24, right? In the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, people forget about Viola's 1990 season because the team fell short that year, but I believe the Mets had 6 starting pitchers that year.
Yeah, so it worked out to be a little problem for you-know-who over here. But I thought the funniest thing, and this would never happen today, but Frankie was not the least respected great pitcher I've ever been around. But, you know, like, people were always fooling with him, and he was a perennial kind of Cy Young candidate. And on the day he was going to go for his 20th victory in Pittsburgh, John Franco put shaving cream on the top of his cap. So he went out to take his warm-ups to win his 20th game with shaving cream on top of his hat until we told him to take it off. I mean, that just doesn't happen. That wouldn't happen to Santana, I'll tell you that.
Frankie might not have been as disrespected as he was if he hadn't had John on the team with him.
That's right. He knew all his picadillos from college.
Yes, he did. Here's Willingham, who had a grand slam his first time up. Now bats with 2 men on, and he takes a high strike. 0-1. 50 pitches already now for Santana. Guzman at second, Dunn at first with 1 out. Willingham hit one just to the left of center field that initially was ruled in play, but hit in a spot that is definitely a home run on the quirky outfield wall here at Citi Field.
Got a 3-1 pitch here, fastball from Santana. And high off that wall. Mets continued to play it out, but Daryl Cousins, the crew chief, went, checked it out, and delayed gratification for Josh Willingham.
I got a question for you. I'll ask you in a second.
Okay.
Willingham tries to hold the swing, and he stopped it in time. 2-1. Say when that ball got away when Dunn ran over Barajas, had Willingham scored, would they still have reviewed it?
Very interesting. Yeah, and he would have been a triple and an error.
Because Riggleman, if they score the 4 runs, he's got no reason to come out and argue the call, and then the umpires wouldn't have huddled, right?
That's right. Well, he wouldn't huddle. He wouldn't want to go to the umpires. Because what if he went to the umpires and they called it that it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, he wants the 4 points on the board.
Well, the only thing about it is if it got scored a 3-run triple and an error, would you go out there to argue so that he gets credit for the grand slam? I don't know.
Yeah.
We've never been in that kind of a situation.
Right.
It'd be very interesting to ask Riggleman whether he would have said anything, because the umpires aren't going to go to the replay without somebody voicing an objection. Willingham drives one to right center, and you can add to his RBI total. Guzman is in. Willingham trying for second, makes it with a slide. A big day developing for Josh Willingham, an RBI double. He's got 5 RBIs on the day, and it's 5-0 Washington.
Well, just a fastball away. Nice hitting by Josh, hitting that in the gap between Matthews and Franouer, and nice hustle by Willingham. Of course, Christian Guzman's going to score. A lumbering Adam Dunn gets to third base. That nice hustle by Willingham.
So Willingham with a 5 RBI afternoon. Things continue to tumble downward for Santana. Now down by 5 runs, and the infield has to come halfway in. Second and third and 1 out for Ian Desmond, and he takes a rip, 0-1. Desmond was robbed of a base hit on a diving play by David Wright his first time up.
I was surprised that in the next couple of pitches, Mr. Santana doesn't let Mr. Desmond know that he wants that inside corner. Big swings from these hitters on the first pitch. Give the Nationals credit. They've had a nice game plan here against Santana. They've almost been taking to a fault, taking every single changeup and just trying to jump on that fastball.
And every time they've checked their swing, they've gotten the call.
Yes, they have.
Because you get a lot of those with that changeup. Here's the 0-2, and that changeup fouled away.
Their hitting coach is David Eckstein's brother, right?
Rick Eckstein.
Yeah.
There he is. Looks just like
he does, doesn't he?
They're playing out in San Diego these days. Padres got themselves a 14-inning win last night. Adrian Gonzalez driving in the winner in Colorado in the 14th. Down to third. That's a foul ball. Good thing for Adam Dunn, because he was 20 feet down the line. I mean, if you're the runner at third base there, anything that has a chance to be fair, don't you have to be moving back to the bag or breaking hard for the plate?
One or the other. I would think that with a 5-0 lead, I would think that you would go on contact.
He was just kind of wandering on contact. Oh-2. Popped it up down the line. That should make it toward the seats and out play.
Hey guys, you just talked about Rick Eckstein, the Nationals hitting coach. Funny scene during Nationals batting practice today. I mean, at least 8 million people yelled for David Eckstein. David Eckstein, sign my ball. To the point where at about the 3rd round of BP, Adam Dunn turned around and yelled, "It's not David, it's his brother." It was actually a really funny scene.
Wow. You're going to have to help Rick, because, you know, one of the keys is, you know, only the players are supposed to sign at the ballpark.
Is that right?
Yes. To help him out with that.
Santana had 0-2, and he comes inside to Desmond, so there's that pitch you were asking for.
Yeah. They just look very comfortable out there today. Santana uncomfortable, the hitter's comfortable.
Well, he's gotten the strikes ahead of the balls, but 5 Josh Willingham RBIs have put him in a big hole. Just missed inside, 2-2. And if Santana's going to have a down start, you look at that next time through the rotation starting on Tuesday night in Colorado, and there's that much more emphasis now on the other guys.
It is, but what happens with that off day and the continuance of using all 5 starters like they did this time around to give Santana the extra day, he's going to be pitching on 6 days again.
Well, unless they change that.
Yeah, they could.
Out to right field. That should get a run home. Dunn tagging. Franouer with the catch. He's going to try for home. And the tag by Barajas, and he's out. Dunn didn't slide. It's a double play, and the inning is over. Jeff Franouer with the great arm, and Adam Dunn, making some kind of an assumption, decided not to slide. We've seen that before. Not usually against the Mets. Great throw by Franouer to end the inning.
and they got to try to hold him down. So.
Well, Jeff Francoeur has one of the best outfield arms in baseball, and I guess Adam Dunn forgot.
Yeah, exactly. What a laser by Francoeur. Ready to throw on the fly, a strike from 350 feet away, and Adam Dunn, for whatever reason, decided not to slide. And with this inability to slide, the call by Jim Joyce, of course, with the out. We've seen this before. That was in Oakland one time, I believe.
Well, we saw earlier in the game Dunn run over Barajas when Willingham hit what turned out to be the grand slam, so he wasn't shy there. If he slides in this case, he's probably got a good chance to score. But my question is, where was the on-deck hitter, Will Nieves?
He was there, but he was not helping. He just stood and did nothing, which did not help Dunn. But anytime you can see the catcher getting ready to catch the baseball, you've got to get into your slide. And it causes ill feelings, to tell you the truth, on your team. Because you had a shortstop, a young kid, take a great at-bat against Santana, fist the ball out to right field. He should have a sacrifice fly and a ribby instead. Bad feelings.
Rod Barajas takes one wide. That's 1-1. Well, Francoeur just made a great throw. And we've talked about this before about Francoeur. It's not just that he has such a strong arm, but his accuracy for a guy who's throwing the ball, 275 feet is uncanny.
The ball does not move. Most guys that have an arm like his, you have to start that ball almost, in foul territory and have it drift back. It's true on a string as any outfielder I've ever seen throwing the baseball.
Barajas drives one to center field, but right at Nigel Morgan. And that's the first out of the inning. So Barajas continues to swing the bat well. He certainly did yesterday, and expected to have at least a game-tying, if not a game-winning hit in the ninth inning.
I've seen Dave Parker throw, Andre Dawson in his prime, Ellis Valentine in his prime. Andy Van Slyke had an amazing arm when he was in St. Louis and Pittsburgh.
How about Corey Snyder?
There you go, Corey Snyder, the quarterback at UCLA. None as true as Francoeur.
Santana takes ball one. Johan 0 for 2 on opening day. Now a lifetime 170 hitter. Jim Joyce gets as loud as any home plate umpire in the league.
Yes, he does.
Not quite Dutch Rennert.
Jim is into it. That's what's great about Jim Joyce, and he was just, I guess, probably starting when I was ending my career, but you loved him behind the plate. Emphatic, wanted to lead the ball game.
Ripped down the right field line, and Santana's got himself a base hit, and it'll go to the corner. Racing for second as Taveras digs it out, and Santana pulls in with a double.
Well, down 5-0, no give up in this young man. Nice hitting off Hernandez. I think as Santana plays in this league more and more, he's gonna. I think to me, he's a guy that should be a 200-plus hitter.
10th career double for Santana. He also has a triple. Still looking for his first home run. He'll get one of those too. So now Reyes will try and get him in. Mets have their third hit off Livan Hernandez. Reyes popped to short his first time up. Well, we said about Santana before that if he wasn't a pitcher, he might have to find a place for him to play every day.
Well, I think for the Mets here, what they have to do, and I'm sure that Howard Johnson's reminding them on the bench with Jerry Manuel, pick away. It's so early in the game. You can't get into that vibe of, hey, it's Sunday afternoon, we're already down 5-0, this game's over, we'll get him in Colorado. Just pick away, get a couple runs here, a couple runs there, knock Santana in there, and the next thing you know, you're in the ballgame.
And you got a guy on the mound who's been a solid starting pitcher who takes the ball and gives you innings, but he's a guy who gives up a lot of hits and a lot of runs. The Mets certainly know that. I mean, Livan was a very functional pitcher for the Mets for 2/3 of the year last year, especially early in the season. He did a great job for them. But, he's not an ace starting pitcher. You expect to get runs against him. Last year, when he started the year with the Mets, Livan over his first 11 starts had a 3.88 ERA. But then his next 12 starts before they released him, his ERA was over 7.
Yeah, you always feel like Livan's going to give up 3 or 4 or 5 runs when he goes out there.
3-1 now to Reyes with Cora on deck. And that's interesting from a Nationals perspective. If Fernandez does early in the season what he did last year, it'll be perfect for them because they've got the cavalry coming sometime in June or July. And Reyes watches low ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. Nice at bat for Reyes to get a couple of men on with Alex Cora coming up.
I think it's worth mentioning as we watch Levon work today that pitching in the minor leagues for the Washington Nationals in Altoona for Harrisburg and AA is Steven Strasburg today. 75 media credentials for his first start.
First professional start for Strasburg. Interestingly, also today, making his first professional start in the major leagues is Mike Leake for the Cincinnati Reds. Only the 21st player since they started the draft in 1965 to make his professional debut in the major league. Last one to do it was Xavier Nady. Cora had a base hit his first time up. Leake pitched at Arizona State. Strasburg, of course, at San Diego State. And nobody doubts that he is going to make an impact on this game.
You see those spring training numbers, 12 strikeouts, 1 walk. You can go with that. The scouts I talked to said that you know, they never believe all the hype they get of these college pitches until they saw Strasburg.
Cora lifts one to shallow left, and Willingham is right there. And that's the second out of the inning.
And they said Strasburg, because what happens is that you're sold a bill of goods. If this guy throws 100, he's got a razor blade curveball, and he's got a parachute change. And then you see him and you go, you know what? He doesn't have 3 pitches. He has like 1 3/4. And then they saw Strasburg, and the people I talked to said he legitimately throws 97 to 100 all game long. He has one of the best curveballs that would be in the major leagues right now, and his changeup he throws for strikes behind the count all the time. So he will be up before you know it.
By the way, talking about Mike Leake with the Reds, he has shut out the Cubs over the first 4 innings in his professional debut today. Here's David Wright, who grounded into a double play his first time up. Now he takes a strike. That's another reason. The Reds are just a fascinating team to me. I mean, obviously, Aroldis Chapman has gotten more of the publicity this spring because he's a lefty who throws 100. And you see that score from Cincinnati. But, you know, they've just got some interesting pieces. And the slow curve, and David pops it up. Nigel Morgan shading his eyes in center field. And puts it away to end the inning. So the Bugs Bunny curveball, first we've seen from Levon today, and it got David right. Pointed backwards or whatever. Here in our mini booth. Mets 4-game premium pick-a packs include a premium location ticket to a Subway Series game at Citi Field, plus the option to choose one game each in April, May, and June. Get to Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your premium pick-a-pack now. We're going to the 4th inning. The Mets down 5-0. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, I was talking Citi Field defense with Gary Matthews Jr., of course, getting used to the confines out there, and I asked him how he's adjusting. He said, you know what? I actually pretty much got it all done in one day because everything was thrown out in the opening day. You had sun in your eyes, you had wind, you had quirky bounces. I experienced everything you could experience in one day, but I'm getting more comfortable. He said outside of the ballpark, then you have to get used to the two guys to your left and right, and Bay and Franouer, and how they adjust. Who goes to the left better, who goes to the right better, where they like to stand, where they like to get comfortable. And then I asked him about the tweeners. He said, well, there's a couple things. Number one, there's hand signals, which are very important. And again, you get used to that as Nieves starts off the inning. Here's a chance for Gary Matthews Jr., and he puts it away. And here's the answer I think you guys are going to like about those in-between balls and how you deal with that when you're getting used to the park and to the outfielders. He said, they're mine. They're all mine. This outfield is mine. That's why I play center field, because I'm supposed to get all of those balls. So I thought that was a great answer for a guy very aggressive and wants to be, he told me, very aggressive in this outfield.
And I think you have to be. I think any center fielder does, but particularly when there's so much ground to cover out there.
Well, Franouer hit the first pitch while Kevin was talking about Franouer. And then while he's talking about Matthews Jr., there's a fly ball to Matthews Jr. So your next report, Kevin, should be the next thing on the Mets scoring a crooked number in an inning. I think that's what we need.
I'll see what I could do, honey.
1-1 to Adam Kennedy. Preferably, you should do the report when the Mets have the bases loaded.
That's right.
See the numbers on Santana today. Not his best effort.
The only problem with that, Gary, is that eventually it's not going to work, and I could get some blame there. So,
hey, we all get blamed from time to time.
I have to pick.
Why don't you take some blame occasionally?
I have to pick my spots. You know? That's part of the deal here.
We're trying to get this to 25% each, Kevin.
We'll make sure that that you have the jinx label put on you sometime too. By the way, speaking of jinxes, which are often associated with no-hitters, how about Joe Girardi's statements after CC Sabathia's no-hit bid yesterday?
You know, one, he didn't have to say anything because he gave up the hit to Chopin.
That's the part I don't understand, is Wright can't flag down that ground ball to his right. And Kennedy's got himself a base hit. I mean, CC Sabathia goes 7 2/3 innings. He's got a no-hitter going. He's 4 outs away. Kelly Shopping, his former teammate, comes up, breaks it up. 111 pitches. CC's out of the game.
8-0 now. So, you know, the
8-0. Yeah. Wound up 10-0. Now, there's no reason for Joe to say that he was going to take him out anyway. Why would he say that?
Well, I think what happens in today's game is that this pitch count has become so ridiculous that even when a pitcher of his great stature, CC Sabathia, on the verge of trying to make history.
With Kennedy running, Levon fouls off the bunt.
The chance at history of throwing a no-hitter, that Joe would say that he was going to take him out. CC, by the way, said that they would have been fighting in the dugout if he tried to take him out after the 8th inning. And what's ironic about it is that the last time the Yankees had a no-hitter, it was a perfect game. David Cohn threw it in Yankee Stadium. Guess who was catching? Joe Girardi. Sure. So Francisco Cervelli was the catcher yesterday. A chance for him to make history. And if he wanted to make sure that CC had more rest, then give him an extra day on his next start. But I think that was silly for him to say.
Well, that's the thing. Even if he was going to do it, why say it? Once it was a moot point. Sacrifice moves Kennedy to second base, 2-4.
You know, I just think that at some point, I don't know, managers feel compelled to let everyone know that they are the big cheese. And I'm going to make the big decision here that's going to, you know, save this young man's career. When you're throwing a no-hitter, your stuff is coming out of your hands so free and easy. Everything feels great. You could pitch all day long.
And the other thing about it, and we've talked about this before, and you hate to belabor this point, and I understand where pitch counts come from. You're trying to avoid injury. But the understanding has to be there that not every pitcher is the same. And there are certain pitchers like CC Sabathia being front and center with his body type. You have to believe that he's capable of throwing more than 111 pitches, even though it was April the 10th or whatever.
game that has history of a lot of people throwing no-hitters early in the season.
Bob Feller once threw one opening.
That's right.
Day. You think he had a 111 pitch count? That would have been a fight.
There you go.
Knowing Feller's personality. Nigel Morgan 1 for 2 and a long triple to open the game. And that opened the door on a 4-run first inning, capped by Josh Willingham's review-aided grand slam. Well, didn't need the aid, but it was reviewed before it became a grand slam. I'll take some of the sour taste of 5-0 out of the game. A little cotton candy.
Yes.
As a fastball for a strike, 1-2.
And the other thing that you never want to test the baseball gods. I think Joe's other comment was, hey, listen, we want to make sure that he's ready for starts in October. Now, of course, Yankees are a great team, one of the best teams in baseball. Will they be playing in October? Probably. But you never want to say stuff like that. It's just, you never know what events are going to transpire.
Unfortunate now, the way the calendar reads, you play in November.
That's right. There you go. That's right.
Hey, guys, can I throw a changeup your way?
Sure.
What do you think Dick Williams would have said about that? Remember that from last year?
Oh, jeez. Or even, hey, how about the pitching coach for the Washington Nationals with his points that he's had the last couple of days about his pitcher, Steve McCatty? He would have been all over that, too.
By the way, the pitcher he called out, Garrett Mock, got sent to the minors today.
Tough game.
Here's the 1-2. And Morgan swings and misses at the fastball. Santana has his second strikeout of the day. And the Nats do not score in the fourth. Let's try and get something on the board as they come up. Jason Bay leads off the home fourth inning against Livan Hernandez. Bay hit one of the warning track in center field that Nigel Morgan ran down his first time up. It's been fun watching Jason play early in the season because you love the way he approaches the game. But he has had some trouble early in the year with runners on base. Still looking for his first run batted in after 119 of them last year. Lines this one toward the hole and a base hit for Bay to get the Mets started in the fourth. But I thought Jerry Manuel said something early this morning, and I might have some insight into this, Ronnie, that Bay is about as streaky a player as there is.
Well, I think that it's only natural. It's his beautiful swing by Jason. It's only natural that you try to make a great impression in front of the home fans early. So maybe, even though you don't think you're pressing, you might be pressing a little bit. But my father, who watches every single Red Sox game that's on, told me one thing. I said, what do you think about Bay? He goes, you will love him. He hustles all the time. He makes the right plays in the outfield. The one thing, though, very streaky hitter. He'll go 3 or 4 games where he doesn't even look he's ever going to get another hit again, and then for 10 days you can't get him out. So that's the kind of player you get, and Jerry reiterated that this morning.
His leadoff hit, the fourth off Levon Hernandez today. Jacobs pops one up into shallow right, and Willie Taveras comes on. He's playing very deep against Jacobs, but a lot of time to get under it for the first out. So Jacobs' struggles continue. Now 1 for 13 to start the year. And Daniel Murphy's still a significant distance away from coming back. Figure at least 10 days to 2 weeks at the minimum. It'll be interesting to see whether anybody else gets at bats at first base in the interim. Certainly Fernando Tatis has been getting them against the lefties. Would you start Tatis against a right-hander? Here's Franouer, who tripled his first time up.
I think that you have to give Jacobs a month. You know, I mean, I don't see Murphy coming back till the 3rd or maybe even May 1st. Now, of course, if he doesn't hit at all, then you have to maybe make a change.
Off the end of the bat, curling down to Dunn. And a nice reach back by Levon to take that toss for the second out as Bay moves up to second.
But on a team that's looking for more power, you know, he's one of the few guys who can provide it.
But the question is, can you keep him in that 5th spot in the order? Or do you have to move him down? I mean, if Franouer's hitting the way he is, could you go with Wright, Bay, and Franouer 3, 4, and 5, or is that too much right-hand hitting all in a row?
Yeah, I will say that having 3 right-handers in a row is different than having 3 left-handers in a row, because you know the lefty-lefty matchup from the bullpen, lefties seem to handle left-handed hitters much better. But you would love that to be where the other team wouldn't have to just bring in one right-handed reliever and it could go through the whole inning.
Here's Gary Matthews Jr. Mets are 0 for 3 with a runner in scoring position today, and they have really struggled early in the season. But Matthews hits one well to right field, but Taveras back onto the warning track and catches it right in front of the wall to end the inning. So Matthews put a charge in one, but Taveras grabs it. That does it for the 4th. Levon Hernandez has the Mets shut out to this point. Weekdays at 5:30 p.m. Brian Custer and Brandon Tierney bring you 9 innings of news, debate, and insider info on the hottest New York sports stories of the day. In the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi. Weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. Johan Santana back to the mound for the 5th inning. He's given up 5 runs and 5 hits over the first 4. Willie Taveras will lead off the 5th and drops down a bunt. Santana, like a cat, throws him out. As good a fielding pitcher as you're going to see in baseball. Made that look easy.
Yeah, 2007 Gold Glove winner. He could win it every single season. That play, very few pitchers make, and very few make it look that easy. Taveras can fly.
Easier player for a left-hand pitcher going toward the line.
It's a little different, but that ball was really right back on him. That was an easy play for Santana, as good as he is.
Here's Guzman, who singled and scored in the third inning. 1 for 2 on the day. He takes a fastball for a strike. Well, we told you earlier that the Nationals' uber prospect, Steven Strasburg, is making his professional debut today in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Well, Mr. Strasburg gave up a run in his first inning. Little cue shot. Santana going the other way. And he gets Guzman for the second out. So Johan to his right, Johan to his left, and there are 2 out. He gave up, Strasburg did a 2-out double and an RBI single in his first professional inning. So he's not perfect.
Uber prospect. I like that. Wunder team. You say Altoona he's facing as a Pirates organization, right?
I'm trying to find the name of the guy who will always be able to tell his grandkids that he got the first hit in the professional career off Steven Strasburg. Now Santana faces Adam Dunn, who has walked twice today and scored a run. Probably should have scored a second. Fouls one back, 0-1. Thrown out at the plate the second time by Jeff Francoeur on a play on which Dunn declined to slide. Here's your 5th inning recap. Josh Willingham's grand slam in the first inning stands as the big blow in this game. Willingham also drove in the other run with a double. It's quite a day.
Well, the Nationals with their Will connections have done it. Willingham with a grand slam today. Willie Harris with the great catch yesterday. And Will Taveras. Willie Taveras with the 4 RBIs in yesterday's game against Oliver.
I guess Mike Rizzo has his marching orders. Bring in more guys named Willie.
That's right.
2 to Dunn. Now the Nats have been a downtrodden team over the last couple of years. 100 lost seasons each of the last 2 seasons. But you get the impression they're starting to build in the right way.
Build in the right way, and they've got Stan Kasten's the main guy behind everything now with Mike Rizzo, and Stan, everything he touches, whether it was the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Braves, he's a winning person.
And Stan is here today. 2-2 from Santana, and Dunn takes the changeup low and in. 3-2.
Remember those Hawks teams? Charlie Chris, Tree Rollins, Dominique Wilkins.
The other National League team that lost 100+ 2 years in a row since the '65 Mets were the 73 and 74 San Diego Padres. It's been a long time since a National League team had back-to-back 100 lost seasons. Last year, the Nats lost 103 games. The Mets didn't fare a whole lot better, losing 92. Phillies winning their 2nd straight National League title. The Braves were actually more competitive for the wild card until the last few days of the season than were the Marlins, even though they finished behind them in the end. Long turn at bat here for Dunn, who's already seen 7 pitches. Santana up to 85 pitches already, working in the 5th inning. That's a lot for him. And he strikes him out with a fastball. As good a fastball as he's thrown all day. 3rd strikeout for Santana. Nats go 1-2-3. holds the record for most career shutouts.
Yeah.
And as Ronnie speculated, it was the old Washington Senator, Walter Johnson, the big train.
Watch this recoil. I don't know. He used to throw, and his body would almost go backwards.
He had 110 shutouts in his career. Second on the all-time list, Grover Cleveland Alexander, who had 90. There's Walter Johnson's numbers. Not quite the 511 wins of Cy Young, but 417 is not bad. I don't think any active pitcher is getting there.
I know we have our Elias people here, Bob Waterman. I think Johnson also, as Castillo is going to be on deck to hit for Santana. Also, Walter Johnson, I believe, holds the record for losing 1-0 games because those Washington Senators were not very good.
Saying if he played for a better team, he might have been close to Cy Young.
That's right.
0-2 to Barajas, leading off in the home fifth, and the slow curve popped up. Second time Levon's thrown it. Second time he's gotten to pop him. The Mets would know enough to lay off that pitch. Guzman grabs it. Well, there's Raul Valdez, who just joined the Mets today, and he's getting loose in the bullpen, so it looks like he will waste no time making his Mets debut this afternoon.
Wow, how about this?
531 complete games.
Let me try to
keep with the telescope.
There we go. Well, this is the real fancy one. This is the real fancy one. 531 complete games. That'll be a record. That'll never be approached.
By the way, just to put it in perspective, 110 shutouts, the all-time record. It's Castillo pinch hits for Santana. The Mets club record for shutouts is 44.
Terrific, right?
By Tom Seaver. Jerry Kuzman and John Matlack each had 26. You, my friend, had 10 shutouts in your Met career.
Did I?
You did, according to our statistician Dave Fried. He's never wrong.
You know, I had two. This is pretty funny. It tells you how important Keith was on those teams. I had two shutouts happen. For a guy on third, one out, a line drive. This is a shutout. Line drive down the right field, past first base. Keith with a dive, glove on the bag, throw home from his knees. Guys out at home plate. Two of the shutouts were like that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It was like, oh no, wait, there's an out, there's another out? I'm great. All right.
1-2 to Castillo, who's been battling a bad calf the last few days, and he fouls back the curveball. Well, we've gotten the name of the young man who will have the story for his grandkids. His name is Alex Presley, 24-year-old left-hand hitter out of the University of Mississippi. Got a double with 2 out of the first inning off Steven Strasburg, the first hit that Strasburg allowed in his pro career. So congratulations to Alex Presley.
The other Presley from Mississippi.
That's right. It's a big name down there.
That's right.
Well, the Nationals can relate to that. Fouled away because the Nats this season, when they win a home game, they're having the player of the game don an Elvis Presley wig post game.
Oh, they are?
Yes. They're trying to make it kind of like the Yankees with the shaving cream.
Oh, okay. All right.
Apparently it was somebody's Halloween costume. Kept it. Castillo slaps one to short. Desmond right in front of it. And quickly there are 2 out. So Levon Hernandez rolling right along. He's shut the Mets out to this point. Start the third time through the batting order with Jose Reyes coming up. Reyes has popped up and walked 0 for 1. Look at that.
Low pitch count.
Better than 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio. I don't always see that with Levon, but that's why he gives up hits. He throws strikes. 1-0 to Reyes. Walter Johnson lost 26 1-0 games. Wow. But he also won 38 of them.
30.
Reyes rips one down the right field line. That's an extra base hit going to the corner. Reyes heads for second as Taveras gets to it quickly, and he'll settle for a 2-out double. So Reyes Urias has his second hit since returning, his first extra base hit.
Well, this is the silver lining in a game here that you're losing 5-0 is that hit in his last at-bat yesterday, he's coaxed a walk, and now this double down the line as Jose starts to heat up his game.
I'll tell you what, Taveras has been everywhere today. We saw him chase down the potential inside the park home run by Franouer. We saw him go back near the wall to catch the ball by Matthews that saved a run, and now quickly to the line there to prevent Reyes from even thinking about a triple. That's a lot of speed for a right fielder. Normally you think about a guy like Taveras being, and he has been for most of his career, a center fielder. Raul Valdez, we're now Leiter's old number.
Just got his stuff out of the trunk, and he's almost in the game.
Look how quickly Taveras gets over there.
Well, you're right. From my seat here, I can't quite see that right field line, and very few outfielders get to that before it gets to the fence.
Cora right to the center fielder Morgan, who doesn't have to move an inch. And so Levon Hernandez with 5 shutout innings. We head to the 6th, 5-0 Nats.
It was the player that he had to have in the 3-person trade with the Mets, with Sean Green and Putz, and the Cleveland guys went to Seattle, and the GM would not do it unless he got Gutierrez.
Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. This marks the conclusion of the opening homestand. Mets now head into their first road trip. 3 in Colorado against the Rockies, and then 3 in St. Louis against the Cardinals before the Mets come home for a long homestand. Before we start the 6th inning, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Give you a little advanced look at the Rockies, guys. Haven't seen them in a while, and they had an outstanding run when Jim Tracy took over making the playoffs. Tracy had them 74-42 under his tutelage, but I look at the Rockies, I look at their young stars. Troy Tulowitzki is 25. Ian Stewart's a starting third baseman, is 25. He's already off to a great start, hitting over 400. He has 2 home runs. Carlos Gonzalez has already been traded for Danny Herron and for Matt Holliday, but he's found a home, and he's an absolute star in the making. He's only 24 years old. He's batting .385 to start the season. And how about this number for the Rockies? When Carlos Gonzalez, last year when Carlos Gonzalez started, they were 53-16 in the games that he started. That gives you an idea of the multi-talented guy that he is. Rockies are off to a little bit of a slow start. They're 2-3. They lost a 14-inning game last night to the Padres. And the Mets do get a little bit of a break. Their ace, Ubaldo Jimenez, pitches today, so the Mets will miss him, but they will get Jorge De La Rosa, who was outstanding in the Rockies' home opener in this series coming up, guys.
Yeah, De La Rosa allowed just 1 hit in his stint. They'll also see Aaron Cook, one of the best sinker ball pitchers in the game, on Wednesday.
You know, the thing about Aaron Cook, it always seems that about 2/3 through the season, he kind of has that shoulder fatigue, but when he's right, he is a ground ball machine.
2-2 to Josh Willingham, who has driven in all the runs today. Now facing Raul Valdez, the 32-year-old Cuban defector, is making his major league debut.
Who was he playing? The Mexican League, right? For Tabasco?
In fact, the Mets had him on loan this spring from the Mexican League and had to make a deal with Tabasco when they sent him to Buffalo. But he pitched very well this spring in limited opportunities and looked like he could be that extra lefty in the bullpen.
In fact, you and I, with about 4 or 5 days to go, we did a game and we surmised, we thought Valdez was going to make the team. Well, he has, but after the first week.
Funny, the guy who beat him out was Sean Green, but Green today going on the DL, and that opens the way for Valdez, who takes that curling ground ball back at the mound, and somebody finally finds a way to retire Josh Willingham. So 1 away, and you have to say that Valdez has moved up in the world, because the first time we saw him this spring, he was wearing number 96 with no name on his back. He had just arrived. The next time we saw him, he had his name on his back, but he still had 96. Now he's graduated to a real number.
That's right, 22.
And the name's still there. Here's Ian Desmond, who hit the fly ball to right, on which Franouer threw out Dunn at the plate his last time.
Gary, remember the first ball? Oh, sorry, Gary. I was going to say, remember the first time we saw him? His locker in the Mets spring training clubhouse was a Post-it note. Remember?
That's right.
A Post-it note with a number.
Post-it note.
I mean, he's gone from a Post-it note to here he is. I mean, that's a big jump.
Oh.
Now the Mets had him in their farm system a few years ago. He pitched at AA in Binghamton in 2007. But since then, he had pitched in the Dominican League, in the Venezuelan League, and then in the Mexican League. So he has been everywhere, man.
I'm going to have to get on the big fig with Charlie Samuels. That's weak. Post-it note with a little number. I wonder if it was in pencil or pen.
He pitched for the same Dominican team in the Caribbean World Series that Fernando Martinez played for. Martinez was the MVP of the Caribbean World Series. Nelson Figueroa was also on that team and was the pitching star. And that's where the Mets saw him again and kind of caught up with Valdez. And that's what led Omar Minaya to make the deal with Tabasco to bring him in this spring and give him a look-see. And now here he is pitching in the majors for the first time at age 32. Three and 2 to Ian Desmond. And the fastball grounded to short. Right at Reyes. And a true throw. And Valdez has retired his first 2 hitters. Time to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin is there for the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Thanks, Chris. The Astros are 0-5 to start the season. First time since 1983. Now, the Astros generally don't start well, but they don't usually start this poorly. There's Will Nieves with 2 out and nobody on.
They were so excited to training with a new manager, Brad Mills. They thought they were going to have had a new culture over there, but you know that team offensively doesn't seem to go unless Berkman's on top of his game, and he's out.
He's on the disabled list right now. In fact, they had Pedro Feliz playing first base last night against the Phillies.
Yeah, they're a little oldish and slow, so they can't manufacture a lot of runs unless they show their power. It was Ryan Howard last night who showed his power.
I wonder if Brad Mills has a victory cigar sitting around waiting the way Willie Randolph did his first year.
Right.
Foul back 1-2 to Nieves. Remember, Mike Piazza gave Willie the cigar. This was opening day 05. Said, you know, it's for your first win. And of course, Braden Looper blew the lead the first day and the ninth inning, the first day in Cincinnati. The Mets lost their first 5 games before they finally won on that first Sunday in Atlanta when Beltran homered off Smoltz, and Willie finally got to pull out that moldy cigar. So. Hopefully, one of these days, Brad Mills, if there is a cigar waiting, will be able to take it out and smell the sweet scent of victory.
I think it was perfected and should never be used again by the late, of course, Red Auerbach and George Burns. Those are the only people, but they should have left it right there.
No, Red had the victory cigar after every win.
That's right.
And he had a lot of wins. Popped it up. Reyes retreating to get under it, and a very successful first inning in the major leagues for Raul Valdez. Gets him out 1-2-3. Now the Mets are trying to get some offense going. David Wright will be leading off for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th, trying to get the offense charged. Join the Mets fan club for kids now. Members receive 2 free tickets, an ID card, club cap, bag, special offers, and much more. Sign up today at Mets.com/kidsclub. Well, the Mets trying to get something going. Is that a little sauerkraut on the hot dog? Very nice. David Wright leads off in the home 6th inning. Livan Hernandez has stifled the Mets for the first 5. So that means that's 6 scoreless for the Cuban pitchers today.
That's right.
5 for Livan and 1 for Raul Valdez.
I think the red glove is the key today.
Livan has kept his pitch count down. Who knows how far he might go in this game. David is 0 for 2. He's hit into a double play and fly to center. Mets have had 5 hits today, 1 in each inning. That's not the formula for success. Got to bunch those things. Right. Jason Bay on deck, and then Mike Jacobs, 3, 4, and 5 in the order for the Mets, 3rd time around. That changeup blown away, 3-1.
Interesting choice there with the 5-0 lead for Livan to go with that 2-1 changeup. But that's Livan just changing speeds all game long. He doesn't care what the count is. Throw any pitch, any count.
Fastball strike, and it's 3-2. That's how you get away with an 84-mile-an-hour fastball.
After you throw it 77, it looks like 90. There's Stephen Caddy, the pitching coach.
Well, he's already claimed his first scalp, hasn't he? The curveball, did he go? Nope, ball 4, and David is on with a walk. Talking about Stephen Caddy, he was very vocal in his criticism of Aaron Mock after Mock got knocked out of the 4th inning here the other night and was complaining about not being able to get a grip on the baseball.
We were having a laugh because we both lived in Northern California at the time, and both of our oldest sons were on the same T-ball team. And my son, like his, had no interest in playing baseball. My son had the glove on the wrong hand. His kid was eating his glove in center field.
Day hits one to deep center, but playable for Morgan again, and Morgan again gets back to make the grab. David was already around second base, but comes all the way back. So that's the first out.
Yeah, neither of them had any interest in being on this T-ball team. And I thought the funniest thing was that they had a draft for these T-ball kids. It was just out of control. 11 flyouts, 5 groundouts.
Anyway, so Mott got sent to the minors today to make room for Livan Hernandez. The Nationals also made another player move. They put Mike Morse on the disabled list and called up yet another speedy outfielder, Roger Bernardina, who's available on the bench today. Here's Jacobs, who's grounded out and flied out. Nigel Morgan with a busy day. 6 putouts now in center field of his 11 fly balls generated by Hernandez. Well, if you're going to be a fly ball pitcher, this is the park to be one in. Jacobs now 1 for 13 to start the season. Little dribbler. Dunn will field and takes to the bag, beats the sliding Jacobs there for the second out. And Wright moves over to second. So now Jeff Francoeur will come to bat with 2 out and a runner in second, as the Mets continue to scuffle for the big hit. Yesterday they were 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They're 0 for 4 so far today. Francoeur hit a long triple to right center that caromed along the warning track, and other than some heads-up outfield play, might have been an inside the park home run. Grounded out his last time up, so he's 1 for 2. Jeff now has 6 extra base hits in the first 6 games of the year. Mets began the day at 205, and as you see, 0 for 5 today. And Livan Hernandez and Will Nieves having some trouble communicating with a runner at second. Livan very rarely loses his cool on the mound. A little perturbed there.
Well, usually it's the catcher that comes out to clear up things. Livan was like to Nieves, come out here. We're going to figure this out. You're going to give me 3 signs, and I'm using sign number 2. Here we go.
Francoeur is 6 for 15 against Livan with his triple today. He's 5 for 10 in this series. With the only Met who's swinging a really hot bat early in the season. And that slow curveball couldn't get him to bite. 2-0. A rare time that Livan's been behind in the count today. Francoeur has said it many times over these first weeks back into spring training and into the season. He knows people aren't going to throw him strikes early in the count. And Livan trying to tease him and get him to go after a bad pitch. He's done a better job of not doing that. And that's why he's hitting 450 right now. Right at second with 2 out, with Matthews on deck. And Francoeur takes a walk. It's very perturbed. Livan Hernandez has walked his 3rd of the afternoon.
And it perturbed Wrigley too, because when you have a lead like this, usually the only way a team can come back on you if you make mistakes walking hitters, and then you get a guy out to have a blast.
Yote Igarashi up in the Mets bullpen with the pitcher spot a couple of batters away. Gary Matthews Jr. is 0 for 2 today. 2 fly balls, the last one carrying nearly to the wall in right center that Willie Taveras ran down. And that one knocked down by Nieves, 1-0. Rod Barras waiting on deck. The Mets will be traveling, going to Denver after the game today and spend their day off in Denver tomorrow, while the Nats go to Philadelphia for the Phil's home opener tomorrow. Popped it up on the left side of the infield. Desmond taking charge, and the side retired. So Livan Hernandez continues to roll despite a couple of walks. He's shut the Mets out for 6. 5-0 going to the 7th. It's the only New York sports news and highlights show in town, with continued coverage of today's Mets-Nationals game, plus interviews, highlights, recaps of everything New York sports on Geico Sports Night, tonight at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Adam Kennedy takes a strike from Raul Valdez, who begins his second big league inning. Pitched a 1-2-3 sixth. Kennedy 1 for 2, had an opposite field single in the fourth. Well, the Mets bullpen has now thrown 10 consecutive scoreless innings. Saw K-Rod go around the corner with his big heating pads. Right. 2-1 to Kennedy with Livan Hernandez on deck. How about what Livan has done here this afternoon, coming back to Citi Field?
Well, if you get to know Livan, he is a fun-loving, great guy to have in the clubhouse, but also intensely competitive. And you know, when you come back to pitch against a team that lets you go, you want to be on your best, and he certainly has been this afternoon.
2-2 to Kennedy, and he hits it the other way down the left field side. Foul. Adam Kennedy playing third base today. That's where he played last year with Oakland. Well, there's that wrap on K-Rod's arm. It's quite a complex system he's got going on there.
You know what's interesting is that most closers will have that in the clubhouse, and then they'll go, after it's done, they'll go down to the bullpen. But K-Rod's one of those guys that goes to the bullpen pretty early and stays down there and watches most of the ball game from there. When I played with Dennis Eckersley in Oakland, he would not go down to the bullpen until after 7 innings.
This is Friday night when we first noted K-Rod with the contraption on his arm. Kevin Burkhart's done a little snooping about K-Rod's mummy wrap there. Kevin?
Yeah, you know what, Gary? The 6th inning of every game, K-Rod has that wrap, and what it is essentially is a bunch of heating wraps in there, and he does it every game, 6th inning, and he lays it on there for about 10 minutes. And he really feels like it loosens up the muscles in his arm and his shoulder very, very well. The only time he won't do it is if it's extremely hot out. But what he does that in the 6th. Then in the 7th, he does his stretching. But he feels like really as soon as he starts his stretching, he's already loose. That's how he feels the effects are. And Ronnie, you hit it as Kennedy takes strike 3. You hit it that he used to do it in the clubhouse, but with the redesign of the Mets bullpens out there, now that they have that enclosure, he brings it out there. He does it inside the enclosure, and then he drops it off in there, and then he goes and stretches outside. So he feels comfortable doing that now. It does not have anything to do with his transformation into RoboCop, which it can be confused. But you're right, Ronnie. He's done it all the time. It's just now we're seeing it because of the change in the bullpen.
Livan Hernandez hits one up the middle, and so Livan's perfect day continues. He's always been a great hitter for a pitcher, lifetime .223 hitter, and he has the first hit ever off Raul Valdez in the major leagues. So Valdez finally gives up a hit, and it's to his countryman, Mr. Hernandez.
You think about it, Livan Hernandez, that's his 197th hit. Very few pitchers in the major leagues ever get 200 hits, and Livan's on his way.
It's the 6th hit of the afternoon for the Nationals. And now Nigel Morgan, who had the first one, a triple back in the first. Valdez just continues to throw strikes. Just never know when an opportunity is going to present itself in this game, as Willie Taveras is on deck, and sometimes it happens earlier in your career and sometimes it happens later in your career, and here it has presented itself to Raul Valdez. Slap to third, over the bag, and then down the line. It goes past the tarp. Stopping at second is Livan, as Bay was playing over that way, and so Morgan has himself a base hit.
Well, after going 0 for 9 in the first 2 games, a couple hits now for Nigel Morgan. I think those pant legs will stay down for a while.
Well, he went with the sartorial adjustment.
Hey guys, one other note about K-Rod. He's in pretty good spirits because his brother, who was in that serious car accident back home, is actually out of the hospital, and he's back home now. So prognosis there looking good.
It's his brother Leandro, who was the more injured of the two. Barajas got crossed up on that last pitch, so he's going to take it out to the mound. Fortunate to catch it.
And the thing about K-Rod, if the Mets aren't able to get close in this game, as we'll watch, Barajas is waiting for the express, but he gets the local. Nice job. And framed it. K-Rod will have to pitch in today's game at some point to get some work because Mets have that off day in Colorado tomorrow.
Yeah, Jerry said before the game he was going to work today no matter what. Taveras is 0 for 2 after his big day yesterday. Ball and a strike to Willie Taveras. Well, Valdez working in back of Johan Santana, who had a rare off day today. 5 innings, 5 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. The first inning grand slam by Willingham, putting a big damper on the Mets afternoon. 1-2 now to Taveras. And for a ball club that's structured like the Mets, with one ace starting pitcher and then a whole lot of question marks after that, here it is the second time around the rotation. Can it be deflating for a team to have this kind of a game out of their ace? Does it have any lasting impact?
I don't think it will have any lasting impact because you have the off day in Colorado tomorrow. But where it could be lasting is if
the foul tip held by Barajas, second strikeout of the inning for Valdez.
Just if you don't get the other guys to pick up the slack. I mean, Johan over the course of 32 starts in a year, he might have 1, 2 of these all season long. And when he has these, guys like John Maine and Jonathan Neese are going to have to pick it up on Tuesday and Wednesday in Colorado.
Well, let me throw this at you as well with the off day tomorrow. And you talked about it earlier, the fact that the Mets stayed in rotation this first time around, so Santana got the extra day. With Oliver Perez having not put in a great start yesterday, and with Santana having a somewhat shortened start today, do you think there's any possibility that they might slot Santana in on Friday and not give him the extra day of rest with the off day this time around?
Well, I would certainly do it. My feeling is that I want Santana to start every 5th day, every time he can, so he can get on a roll. Now, listen. If it gets to be the heat of July or August and I have a chance to give Johan an extra day, of course I will. But, I want him to be structured. Throwing in a game, waiting 2 days, throwing on the side, 2 days, throwing in a game again. So he can really get on a roll with this kind of new gift he's got, this new arm after the surgery last year.
Guzman lifts one to center, chasing Matthews back a few strides. Plenty of room to make the catch. And that ends the inning. 2 scoreless out of the bullpen for Valdez. 7th inning stretch, 5-0 Nats.
Well, the bad news.
Not giving us a whole lot to talk about.
The good news is
come out on deck. He will bat for Raul Valdez after Juan Barajas leads off in the home 7th inning. Ryota Igarashi up in the bullpen, but a very successful big league debut for Raul Valdez.
2 scoreless innings. Congratulations to the young left-hander.
And that's now 11 consecutive scoreless for the Mets bullpen, which was an area of concern coming out of spring training, but you'd have to say through the first week of the season has outperformed anybody's expectation.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Jerry was saying that they'll kind of compete and dictate their own role. Their role right now is they're all being pretty good when they come in, throwing strikes, which is great.
Meanwhile, the Mets offense has disappeared, held to 3 runs yesterday, and shut out over the first 6 innings by their former mate Livan Hernandez this afternoon. Juan Barajas is over 2. He'll do a little housekeeping before he takes his turn at bat. Not quite as windy today as it's been on some other days in this opening week, but everybody getting quite used to fishing papers off the field. See this light, gentle, 70-degree breezy day.
And the folks here are waiting to kind of break out, but it's hard when your best pitcher's out of the game. You got a 5-run deficit, and, no real offense yet.
The crowd's been very interesting over the first week of the season as Barajas fouls one off. It started off on opening day when you had various players and trainers booed during pregame introductions, which doesn't happen all that often. Then that second game of the season when the Mets rallied from five down and ended up losing, the crowd was very into it. There was a very palpable buzz in the crowd, and it really sounded like they were getting behind the team in a way that we didn't always see last year. But then yesterday, the Mets had the bases loaded in the 9th inning, and it was a 1-run game, and the place just felt dead.
Yeah, I think part of the problem for us is that the acoustics where we sit here, we don't always get the full effects of it. So when the team is extremely loud, as Barajas pops up here, probably caught by Adam Dunn, when they're really extraordinarily loud, we notice it right away. And that was Wednesday night. Unbelievable. But, what are you going to cheer about so far?
Well, today's been a rough day. Yeah. I mean, the grand slam by Willingham in the first inning off Santana put everybody back on their heels, and that's been the ball game so far with Levon giving up nothing. So here's Frank Catalanato looking for his first hit as a Met. The Long Island native has gone 0 for 4 so far, and he takes a strike from Levon, who has his pitch count low enough that who knows, he could go 9. He's only thrown 81 pitches now, working in the 7th, and he's quickly ahead on Catalanato 0-2. And it's slapped to shortstop. Desmond runs in to grab it and makes the nice throw for the second out. So 2 up and 2 quickly set aside by Livan Hernandez in the bottom of the 7th. And now up to the top of the batting order for Jose Reyes. Reyes had a nice day with the bat. He's drawn a walk and pulled a double down the right field line, 1 for 2. It's interesting listening to some of his teammates observe Reyes' demeanor yesterday in his first game. You think about Reyes as much as the ball player Reyes, as the smiling, effervescent presence Reyes, but he did not smile much yesterday. He was very, they thought, his teammates did, determined and focused as opposed to relaxed and laughing the way we normally see him. And even Reyes admitted until the 9th inning he was pretty nervous yesterday, his first game in nearly 11 months. Ryota Igarashi getting set to come on in the 8th inning for the Mets. Pulled foul, 2-2 to Jose. For much of yesterday's game, batting right-handed against John Lanning, his
swing didn't look great, but that hit in his final at bat was left-handed. His at bats today have been better left-handed.
And he goes down swinging on the changeup by Livan Hernandez, who has now thrown 7 scoreless innings. That's his first strikeout of the day, and the Mets are down 5-0 after 7. Adam Dunn will lead off in the 8th inning for Washington. He's drawn a couple of walks today, and the second time he walked, he tried to score from third on a fly ball, and Jeff Franouer got the measure of him.
I love this new thing. 289.5 feet.
I guess Dunn thought that was too far because he didn't even think about sliding. That's a long way to throw the ball on a line drive, the way Franouer just did.
With mustard on it.
That's one of our new toys this year.
I like it.
See if we could use that in some other ways as well. Dunn is 0 for 1 with a couple of walks. Ryota Igarashi out of the bullpen for the Mets, throws a fastball for a strike. Igarashi went an inning and a third yesterday and allowed no runs and 1 hit. Brian Bruni and Jason Bergman both up in the Nationals bullpen. Although why you take Livan out now, I don't know. Dunn pops one up. 3 men on the right side of the infield. Who's going to grab it? It's going to be Alex Cora for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. And now Josh Willingham, who has been the offense today. In the first inning with the bases loaded and 1 out, he hit a ball to center field that it was initially ruled in play and looked like a 3-run triple. On review, it turned out to be a grand slam. Then in the 3rd inning, he doubled to right center and drove in a run. And those 5 runs have been all the scoring today.
Well, he gets that little change up in the middle of the plate there. Hit it over the head of Matthews. And this is good hitting here. The fastball away, driving that to right center field. Willingham always seems to come up with huge hits against the Mets.
The grand slam was the 5th of his career, and 2 of the 5 have been against the Mets. Three and 0 now to Willingham, with Ian Desmond waiting to follow. And that's ball 4, and Willingham's on base for the 3rd time today. So 1 out and 1 on for the Nationals in the 8th inning. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Hager, the knuckleballer.
Yeah.
Got a pinch runner coming in for Willingham. That's Alberto Gonzalez. So Willingham will get an early shower after a very productive day. The Marlins rallied last night against the Dodgers, 3 in the 9th, taking down the Dodger closer George Sherrill. Big cut by Desmond, 0-1. So with the Phillies off to a 4-1 start, the Braves and Marlins both at 3-2. And now the Nats trying to get to 500 today, which would leave the Mets the only team under 500 in the division. Desmond to shallow right. Franouer started back, now coming on and makes the shoestring grab. Took that one step back, but he was able to recover.
Good hustle here by Franouer and almost a shoestring catch. Got extremely long gloves, not very floppy. Webbing.
Lenny Dykstra used to have a glove that was bigger than he was. 2 out and a runner on for Will Nieves, who's gone 0 for 3 today. 2 fly balls and a pop-up. Well, the Nationals began the season opening at home against Philadelphia. Now tomorrow they go to Philadelphia to provide the opposition for the Phils home opener. And with that, 31 of their first 40 games against teams over 500. That's a hard way to start. Nieves pops one up into right, and this time Franouer barely has to move. And that retires the side. So Igarashi throws up another scoreless inning. This bullpen continues to thrive, but is there any offense looming? Changes for the Nationals. Adam Kennedy moves from third base to first base. Alberto Gonzalez, who pinch hit, will stay in the game at third. There he is. Yesterday's culprit, Willie Harris, is out in left field now. Where are you, Willie? Here he is. Getting ready to make another great catch, I'm sure. Well, Jeff Franouer caught the fly ball to end the last inning.
See, this is what happens if you wear the player's uniform. He's got the Jeff Franouer jersey, so he gets the baseball. Nice.
Yeah, you wearing David Wright jersey? Yeah, you think you're gonna get the ball from me?
Oh, boy.
Brian Bruni will pitch the last of the 8th inning for Washington.
Bruni, who had a nice year for the Yankees last year, is going to be their set-up man. So I guess he needs some work. Very surprised that Livan Hernandez was taken out.
7 scoreless for Livan, 87 pitches, allowed no runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and a strikeout. K-Rod will get the work in the 9th inning that Jerry Manuel promised to get him today. And the Mets, if they can score 6 here, they'll provide him with a save situation.
Livan with a lot of that soft stuff. Maybe the harder throw of Bruni would be much more to their liking.
2, 3, and 4 in the Mets batting order. Cora, Wright, and Bay coming up in the bottom of the 8th. Mets trying to avoid being shut out for the first time this season as Cora takes a strike. Alex is 1 for 3, singled back in the first. Since then he's flied out and lined out to center. And there's a strike 0-2. Well, the Mets have a very tough road trip coming up. 2 of the better teams in the National League on the docket. The Rockies, who are favored by many to win the National League West, and the Cardinals, who are the overwhelming favorite to win the National League Central. Slowly hit past the mound, and Desmond throws him out, 1 away. And then they come home for 10 games against 3 pretty good teams as well. They've got the Cubs for 4, and then the Braves for 3, and the Dodgers for 3 on the next homestand. Here's David Wright, 0 for 2 and a walk today. And, you know, we heard all through spring training how important it was for this team to get off to a good start. And, you know, even if they lose today and fall to 2 and 4, it's only 6 games.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jerry Manuel said, hey, what's a good start? What's a bad start? Talk to me after 20 games. And, you know, once they get done with that next homestand, that'll be 22 games.
Well, you know, 16 of their first 22 games are at home, so you would hope that would work to your advantage. But the Mets last season only 1 game over 500 at home. So
and if they lose today, they'll be 2-1.
That's right. So
I think the question ends up being, right now, for this franchise, just given what's happened over the last few years, how much patience everybody has.
Yeah.
And that goes for ownership, management, manager, players, and fan base. All of them have a certain amount of impatience tied to this team's performance right now.
You know, I always judged it as a ex-player, Gary. I always judged it this way. You know, people say 16 out of 22 at home, as David Wright walks for the 2nd time in a row. I never looked at it that way. I looked at it series. You know, the disturbing thing when I look at it is that they've had a chance now to win a couple series, and you know, still the verdict's out on this one. But that's how I would always judge it. You want to start grinding out series, 2 out of 3. You'd love to take all 3. That's not going to happen. Just keep grinding them out, and you know, they came a little short against Florida, and they're behind here to the Nationals.
Right, and of course, if they lose today, you get that added piece, which is that you threw your ace out there. You went up against the other team's number 5 starter. Your ace didn't have it today, and Livan Hernandez pitched the gem. And, you know, if you lose with your ace, it's always difficult, but especially on a staff where there's really no established number 2 guy to pick up the slack. Jason Bay 1 for 3. He's been retired on 2 deep fly balls today. Wright takes off, and the pitch, a strike, and Nieves is thrown not in time. But that's a situation where if you're going to steal, you darn sure better make it down by 5 runs in the 8th.
Well, Bruni didn't pay any attention to David. He took advantage of it. Good throw by Nieves, but David in easily.
Just trying to make something happen. David hasn't gotten much of a chance to swing the bat. In fact, the 2 walks that David's drawn today give him 8 walks in the first 6 games of the season. So making something happen on the bases, trying to get some offense generated.
Well, as Jason Bay and Mike Jacobs heat up, those walks will go away. They'll have to pitch to David.
So Wright's in scoring position. And Bay takes high. So far this initial homestand, Bay is 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Looking for his first RBI as a Met. And Jacobs on deck. That's been held to 5 hits today, and they haven't had more than 1 hit in any inning. Bay lifts one to right field, playable for Taveras. And that's the second out. So Wright holds at second with 2 down. And Mike Jacobs will step in.
You know, Gary, you're talking about this team start, and think of the range of emotion, too. I mean, obviously, if John Maine goes out Tuesday in Colorado and pitches a gem, it's all forgotten. But this is a team that just yesterday morning, was bouncing off the walls with the return of Jose Reyes. They lose a heartbreaker on the great catch by Harris, and now the race gets hit pretty hard today. I mean, just the range of emotion in 24 hours.
Well, you're supposed to be able to keep an even keel in this game.
Yeah.
It's a very long season. I mean, after today, there'll be 156 games to go. I just think that more than some other teams in some other situations, early season success is crucial for this team if they're going to feel like a contender.
Yeah, and I think Jerry's right. 20 games is a good indication. Very hard to judge after 6 games.
Jacobs swings and misses the fastball, 1-1.
And if you look at it, really, I mean, if I look at it, I think that starting pitching coming in was a concern. Relief pitching was a concern. Relief has been unbelievable. And out of the 6 games, really just 2, maybe, today was a subpar effort for Santana. The effort by John Maine is below what he expects of himself. So, and 4 good ones, but not turning those into wins is a concern.
And right now, probably as big a concern is the lack of production on offense. And I think
that was supposed to be the given, right?
Exactly. Well, I think it really shows just how much the Mets miss Carlos Beltran in the middle of this batting order. The fact that you've got Jacobs here hitting number 5, who's gotten off to a rough start, really hurts. And that, speaks to the absence of Murphy as well, who, finished the season very strong last year. I mean, either one of those guys would make this lineup look a little different right now. But the Mets have already had a streak on this homestand where they went 0 for 16 with runners in scoring position. And right now they're 0 for their last 12 with runners in scoring position. And really, that guy, Franouer, has been the only guy who has swung the bat consistently well the first week.
And Barajas, to me, he might not have all the hits, but he's taking some nice at-bats.
And he had the 2 home runs, and certainly thought he had a big hit yesterday. I know I did. 2-2 to Jacobs, up and in, and a full count to Jake with right at second and 2 down. So there you see, coming into the day was 205, so it's under 200 now for the season, with runners in scoring position. Ryan Bruni, the former Yankee, trying to put down the Mets in the 8th. And Jacobs hits one to right field. That's deep. Back goes Taveras onto the track. Back at the wall. And it's out of here. Off the Pepsi porch. A 2-run homer from Mike Jacobs. His first of the season. And it gets the Mets on the board. It's now 5-2 Washington. Well, boy, did the Mets need that. And even more so, boy, did Mike Jacobs need that. His first home run as a Met since 2005.
Well, the Nationals paying the price for taking Hernandez out, who had the Mets number, bringing in Bruni, who's a hard thrower and leaves one down and over the middle of the plate. We've talked about Mike Jacobs and his ability, if the fastball is down, he's got tremendous power. That was long gone.
So Jacobs gets the Mets on the board. Mets have now hit 6 home runs in their first 6 games. Of course, 4 of them came in 1 game. Jason Bergman up in the bullpen as Steve McCatty pays a trip to the mound to talk to Brian Bruni after giving up the 2-run bomb to Jacobs.
It's supposed to be a cutter in, and instead it never cut, stayed on the outside part. And that ball down, really almost one-handed. Jacobs hit that out of the ballpark.
Perfect location for Jacobs to handle. Now, Mike hit 32 home runs 2 years ago with the Marlins, 19 last year with Kansas City. And after going 1 for his first 14 to start the season, hits the 2-run shot to give the Mets some hope here in the 8th. Now down 5-2 with 2 out and nobody on. Here's Franouer. Jeff has tripled and walked today, 1 for 2. It's 2-0 to Franouer, who has seen 6 straight balls in his last 2 at bats. So after Livan Hernandez threw 7 scoreless, Bruni has given up a walk and a 2-run homer here in the 8th. And Franouer watches a strike, 2-1. Hit hard, and a great diving grab by Gonzalez. The throw, though, bounces by Kennedy, and Franouer heading for second. Well, Alberto Gonzalez saved a double with a remarkable stop, but his one-hop throw skipping by Kennedy.
What range he showed, almost right down the line, got up, tried to fire one hopper over here, but it was wide and took a hard hop over the glove of Kennedy, but amazing play to get to that baseball. Hitting an error?
They're going to score it that way, although a good throw, and he's out by 5 feet.
That's all right, we'll take it.
And you're supposed to separate the catch from the throw. He certainly had plenty of time to get up and make a good throw, but Franouer will take it. He gets credit for his second hit of the day. And Jim Riggum is going to make a pitching change after Brian Bruni struggled here in the 8th. Mets have cut it to 5-2 as Jason Bergman comes in. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Well, the Nationals make the pitching change, brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Jason Bergman comes in for the second time in this series.
Second time in this series. The Rutgers product has struggled so far early in the season.
Gave up a double to David Wright in the game on Friday night, and that cost him a run. Gary Matthews comes up with a runner in scoring position for the 4th straight at bat. He's made the last out of 3 innings, trying to avoid a 4th as Bruni looks on. Matthews has flied out twice and popped up. One of his fly balls went to the fence in right center that Taveras ran down. Mets need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. And the curveball in for a strike to Matthews, 0-2.
Bergman's got good stuff. He's got a good sinking fastball, and right there, a nice tight breaking ball.
Franouer at second with 2 down. Another 2-hit day for Jeff, and a swing and a miss, and Matthews down swinging, and for the 4th straight time, Matthews leaves a runner in scoring position. So Bergman gets the job done. The Mets put up a pair on Mike Jacobs' first home run of the season. 5-2 going to the 9th. Tuesday, the Mets head west to start their series against Troy Tulowitzki and the Rockies in the Mile High City. Mets-Rockies coverage begins with Subway pregame Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on SNY. And those will be your pitchers for the opener. Greg Smith, the former Oakland Athletic, will go for the Rockies. They're missing Jeff Francis from their rotation, so Smith is filling their 5th spot. John Maine, trying to bounce back from a difficult first start, will make the start for the Mets. And Francisco Rodriguez on for the 3rd time now here in the ninth.
35 saves for K-Rod last season.
Adam Kennedy, first man to face him in the top of the 9th. Grounds one down to first. Nice easy hop for Jacobs to handle. 1 pitch and 1 out. That'll bring up Willie Harris, who came into the game as a defensive replacement, much as he did yesterday when he caught the line drive by Barajas.
Very funny. Met fans are booing Willie Harris.
Why not? He's cost them in the past. Took a home run away from Carlos Delgado to save a game a couple of years ago. He had a great play on Ryan Church.
That's right. Sliding catch, right?
Yep. Along the left field line. And then there was yesterday.
First pitch to Barajas, linea to left field. Barajas hit that so hard it just had no time to sink. And Harris made the decision, and then some celebration.
If he doesn't catch it, the game is over. Well, it was over anyway, but it would have been over in the other direction. And Harris gets hit by a pitch. I don't think that was retaliation for making the catch. Put a little glare there. And now K-Rod and Harris having words, and K-Rod is hot. Being held back by the umpire, and both benches clear. Well, Harris said something to K-Rod on his way to first base, and whatever it was, Frankie got really, really upset and started to go toward Willie Harris.
Well, it's very similar to what happened last year in Fenway Park between Santana and Euclid, and that is that what irritates the pitchers now is the hitters do not get out of the way. So when they get hit, when the hitters say something, the pitchers will just get to first base. Leave me alone. Watch, Harris never moves. All right, hits him on his elbow. Harris should just proceed to first base, but I think what happens a lot for the hitters is it hurts. So he said something to K-Rod, and K-Rod was not going to hear it.
Mike Jacobs trying to play peacemaker there before K-Rod can get over, but clearly Frank, whatever Harris said, Frankie was just incensed.
Just get to first base, he's saying. Don't talk to me.
Reaction as soon as Harris turned, and whatever he said, Frankie was just perturbed by it. Well, now they're clearing everybody off the field. The bullpens came charging out. That's always my favorite part of this whole bench clearing thing, when the cavalry comes in from the bullpen. You guys are 300 feet away from the action.
What they should do is not even come in all the way. Just start fighting out there in right center.
Like in hockey where the goalies hold each other.
Right.
So Harris shaking his head, and K-Rod not too happy either. Jacobs trying to put a little calm on things.
Nothing wrong with that. A little fire.
You know what? Mets have not had a real fight in a long time. And I'm not advocating it, but for a team that has had something of a less than all out to the wall approach at times over the last few years, this is not a bad thing.
Listen, nothing irritates pitchers more than hitters who do not get out of the way, get clipped like that, and then have something to say. Don't say anything. Just go to first base. Leave me alone. And that's how K-Rod felt.
Well, now the umpire's trying to decide whether anybody should get ejected. Apparently not. K-Rod's sticking around, and so is Harris.
And on the hitter's behalf, I will say this. When you get hit on the forearm like that, it hurts. And your natural reaction is to scream out and say something. So, no one's real fault, but nice to see that K-Rod's not taking any gruff from Mr. Harris and the Nationals.
Good to see all the way around. You know, for a pitching staff that, and you've said it at times over the last few years, hasn't really flipped anybody.
Why not?
So now Nyjer Morgan with a runner at first and 1 out. And he fouls one off his leg. So K-Rod has gotten 2 hits in a row. This one's self-inflicted by Morgan.
Good fastball, supposed to be away. Runs in on Morgan and hits it off his back foot.
And if you're Willie Harris, how do you get revenge for being hit?
Steal a base.
Exactly.
Or if they're going to try to, the Mets are going to try to turn a double play, go in hard to second base. That's your retaliation for a pitcher hitting you.
So Matt Capps up in the bullpen, getting ready to pitch the bottom of the 9th. And Morgan takes inside, 1-1. Well, the Met bullpen has been terrific again today. 2 scoreless from Raul Valdez in his major league debut. Another scoreless inning out of Ryota Igarashi. That's 12 straight scoreless for the Mets bullpen. And that bullpen leader standing on the mound now. Good off-speed pitch. 1-2 to Morgan.
Good change up here from K-Rod. It just drops out.
Got a visitor in the booth, and he's eating a Shake Shack burger. You want some? I think he's offering it to you.
He is. No.
There goes Harris. He got a huge jump, but Morgan fouls it off. Oh, he had 2 strikes on him. He couldn't let Harris steal the base.
Wow, look at this. And K-Rod was just at the point where he couldn't turn and throw to first. He had already committed himself to home plate.
That's not a Nutrisystem burger, is it? Keith's going off his diet. I'm going to tell. And Morgan lifts one foul.
See where most people don't realize that Keith was not working today, but he is flying out with the ball club to Colorado, so he's in our booth.
Not working, but very nicely dressed, I have to say.
Nice jacket.
What do we call this? This is a little
herringbone.
Herringbone.
There we go.
Very nice.
Houndstooth. That's better.
Got the overcoat for Colorado.
Where's the fur?
Well, good planning right there. It's nice of you to come by. We missed you.
As soon as you come here, it's a brawl almost.
I wonder if there's any connection there. Frankie trying to settle back in after the dust up with Willie Harris. Ahead on Morgan now, 1-2. And hit off the end of the bat foul. When, as a pitcher, you get into that kind of a situation with a hitter, how hard is it to calm yourself back down and get yourself back in the game?
If you're a young pitcher, it can be a problem. If you're a veteran pitcher like K-Rod, you use it as motivation against the hitter. The problem you have is K-Rod's been sitting down there. If the Mets don't win this game, they go to 2-4. Every time he's pitched has not been a safe situation. He's like, he's got a little anger. And rightfully displayed it. And like I said, I can see how Harris, when you get hit, your first reaction is it hurts, and you want to scream out at the pitcher who just hit you. But the pitcher, in his own respect, is saying to himself, especially in today's game, these guys never get out of the way. So if you're not going to get out of the way, you're going to get hit sometimes. Just take first base and leave me alone.
Barajas stops that one. 2-2 to Morgan.
You're right, though. I never noticed until I started doing games, Gary, how funny it is to watch the bullpen guys running from the bullpen, ready to fill this place with uppercuts.
Because you know how it goes. The join begins, then the bench is empty, and then there's like a 2-second delay, and the bullpen guys trying to figure out whether they need to make the charge, and then here they come, streaming in like a couple of long pieces of confetti from the outfield.
The worst I've ever seen is they had a dust up with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the fight ended because Kevin Mitchell was strangling Sammy Khalifa, their shortstop, and he was starting to turn purple, and everyone just got up and said, hey, Mitch, leave him alone. And the fight just ended. Everyone walked back.
Getting a little too serious.
Yes, he was.
3-2, so Harris will probably be running. He is. And Morgan takes low ball 4, so K-Rod loses Nigel Morgan to a walk, and now there are 2 men on. Talking about bullpens getting involved in a fight. The bullpens ended up playing a key comical role in the most famous fight in Mets history, the one where Pete Rose and Buddy Harrelson went at it during the 1973 League Championship Series. And the reliever for the Reds, Pedro Borbon, after the fight was all over, picked up what he thought was his cap, put it on his head. It turned out to be Buzz Capra's Mets cap. Borbon realized it, took it off his head, and took a bite out of it. Here's Willie Taveras, who's 0 for 3 in a walk today. And he takes below the knees for ball 1.
You know, things have just changed. I remember at Shea Stadium, they had a fight. Gary Carter hit a home run. Ray Knight was the next hitter. Tom Niedenfuer for the Dodgers hit Ray Knight. There was a big brawl. Punches were thrown. Knight against Niedenfuer. After the whole dust-up, Knight went back to hitting. Niedenfuer went back to pitching. No one was thrown out.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
Taveras pops one up. Infield fly rule if it's fair. But Jacobs drifts into foul ground, grabs it for the second out. So 2 away. And now Christian Guzman will come to bat with 2 out and 2 on. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th, the Mets will have 8, 9, and 1 in the order due up. That's Barajas, the pitcher's spot, and Reyes. Mets still have Angel Pagan, Fernando Tatis, and Henry Blanco left on the bench. Mets were down 5-0 in this game until Mike Jacobs gave them some life with a 2-run homer in the 8th. Now K-Rod trying to keep it where it is. You know, they always say that it's hard for closers to get their full adrenaline going when they're not in a save situation. I think Willie Harris solved that problem for Francisco Rodriguez today.
You know, Dennis Eckersley, who I played with the A's, who, you know, arguably had a stretch where he was as good as anyone coming in and closing the game. He would come in, and if just to get work, and that was the only times he would get lit up. It was those days. He just could not figure it out.
They hit somebody with a pitch.
There you go.
Roger Bernardina, who was just called up today, is on deck for the Nats to pinch hit. There's the curveball from K-Rod, missing, and it's 2-0. Bernardina was called up when Mike Morse was placed on the disabled list today for Washington. Harris and Morgan, the base runners, with 2 outs. K-Rod really working at a slow pace this afternoon. And he throws a fastball for a strike, 2-1 to Guzman. Johan Santana started today, went 5 innings, allowed 5 runs and 5 hits. Raul Valdez in his major league debut, 2 scoreless. And Ryota Igarashi, 1 scoreless. Tyler Walker is up in the Nats bullpen. Now, they had Matt Capps up before. I assume Capps is coming in if it's still a save situation, which it would be if the Nats don't score. Guzman pulls 1 foul, but perhaps getting Walker ready in case they put a couple of runs on the board. There's Capps continuing to throw. You need 2 different cameras just to find the 2 different relievers in the Washington bullpen. Guzman 1 for 4 on the day, singled and scored back in the 3rd. Nats got 4 in the 1st on Willingham's grand slam, 1 in the 3rd on Willingham's double, and that's been all their scoring today. 2-2. Struck him out. So K-Rod comes back to strike out Guzman. And after some excitement during the top of the 9th, the Nats fail to score. Mets down by 3 as they come up in the bottom. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By the New York State Smokers Quit Line. And by American Airlines. We know why you fly. We're American Airlines. Matt Capps will try and save it for Washington as we go to the bottom of the ninth.
He's responsible for yesterday's game. Gave up that line drive to Barajas that Harris made that great play on. And here facing Rod is the first hitter.
Looking for his third save of the season. He's not given up a hit to a right-hand batter yet this year. Came awfully close, though, against Barajas yesterday. Barajas batted with the bases loaded and 2 out. Hit that screaming liner that Willie Harris caught with a dive to end yesterday's game. Rod is 0 for 3 today. He's hit the ball in the air 3 times and takes a strike from Capps. Angel Pagan is on deck to pinch hit, and then Jose Reyes for the Mets here in the bottom of the ninth. If they can get a couple of men on, they can get David Wright to the plate. And Barajas pops one up, shallow center. Playing deep was Morgan, races in to make the grab. So 1 pop-up, 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin, Bobby Ojeda standing by to let us know what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury post-game live. All right, we'll be looking forward to hear what you guys have as a recipe. Here's Angel Pagan with 1 out. And Pagan takes a strike from Capps, 0-1. Angel appeared yesterday coming off the bench, struck out in both his at-bats. 4 for 12 to begin the year, and he lofts 1 out to center, and Morgan's there again. And so quickly the Mets are down to their final out of the afternoon. And it's 8 putouts in center field for Mr. Morgan today.
In fact, Matthews on opening day, I think he had 8 plays in center field.
So here's Reyes trying to keep things going for the Mets. Jose a walk and a double down the right field line today, 1 for 3. Mets will be heading out to Colorado as soon as they get done today. Take an off day in Denver tomorrow and then open up their series with the Rockies on Tuesday night with John Mean on the mound against the lefty Greg Smith. Late cut at the fastball, and it's 0-2, and the Mets are down to their last strike. Matt Capps trying to save it for Livan Hernandez, who threw 7 shutout innings today against his old team. And Reyes down swinging, and the ball game is over. A 7-pitch inning for Capps as he earns the save for the 2nd straight day. 7 scoreless from Livan Hernandez, 5 RBIs for Josh Willingham, and the Nats take 2 out of 3 in the series from the Mets.
Well, one of those rare starts where Johan did not have his best stuff to start the game. Gave up that grand slam home run to Willingham. After that, the bullpen was spotless for the Mets, but too much, too early for this Washington Nationals team. Franouer with a couple of more hits. Jason Bay with a hit, but not enough offense for the Mets today.
Well, Mike Jacobs' 2-run homer in the 8th, about the sum total, as the Mets scored just 5 runs in the last 2 games of the series against the team that was dead last in the National League in staff ERA last year and again at the beginning of this year. And so the Mets dropped their first 2 series of the season at home and now embark on their first road trip. Willingham drove in all 5 for the Nats. Santana takes the loss. Nats win 5-2. We'll come back to Citi Field in just a moment.